All right, and we are live. I think, Kyle. I don't know if you could tell me via YouTube. Obviously, I was having some technical difficulties behind the scenes. Kyle was sitting here probably 10 minutes before the stream started, so couldn't play the intro. I was trying to open StreamYard on my usual browser, but my browser wasn't working, so I had to download Firefox. And when I downloaded Firefox, I could not figure out how to share the screen and the sound for the intro. So, I apologize for the start, a little bit late, but Kyle, what is up, man?
Nah, shit happens. Not much, man. Just getting to the end of the school year, and as a teacher, I have summers off, so looking forward to that. Kind of enjoying, this part of the year. It's slow right now, and reading some OTAs, and seems like some people are getting a little upset and stuff, but it's OTAs, so.
People getting upset about practice, Kyle. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about practice, Allen Iverson.
So we have a lot to talk about, and just in terms of like the other stuff, Mets and Yankees both dominating, which is nice for New York. I think the Mets just dropped 2 in a row, but they're still both in first and second place. I think in the MLB, maybe the Mets fell to third now, but still. Rangers 2-2. I think that game is tonight, if I'm not mistaken. But Kyle, we have a lot to talk about. Like it's a lot of random stuff, but we want to talk about some of the press conferences, some of the talk about the defensive front usage, some talk about Sauce, some talk about Reed, some talk about Wilson, some talk about a bunch of other things. So we are going to talk to you guys and see who's in here at the start. After that, Kyle and I have to get through topics. If not, they're going to be just completely pushed away, and we're never going to talk about them again. So I figured tonight we're going to have to run through some things. So make sure if you are going to drop a question, especially in the beginning of the stream, obviously, super chats. I'll always see them, help out a lot as well. But that guarantees that your question gets asked. Past that, if you want to put like question marks or a big thing that says question and then asks us the question to make it easier while I'm scrolling down, great. If not, your stuff is going to get skipped probably because we have a lot to get into. Other than that, follow Kyle, as you can see on his thing, at Kyle J. Smith on Twitter. Follow me at it's Joe RB31. And Kyle, I think right now we're sitting at 6.66 K subs right now. So thoughts on that? I think we either need to drop a couple of people on this stream, or maybe we do the smarter thing and hopefully we get up, another, I don't know what it is, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 subscribers, because 666 right now is not really looking too good.
Yeah, man. So yes, hit the subscribe button right now if you're watching. Geez, just for the sake of us.
Yeah, there's a bad omen. No wonder why the stream didn't start on time, because it's 666. So let's see.
No, it's just because you're stubborn. It's just you're stubborn and you refuse to, wire the Ethernet cable on your ceiling.
Yeah, I got to figure that out. So Mike says, I won't be home at 7, but looking forward to the show. Looking forward to you watching the show. Eagle is in here. He says, I'm excited what I've been hearing about Wilson and Sauce Gardner, but we have not heard a peep from Jermaine Johnson. I hope he can be the edge rusher the Jets have been missing since Johnny Abe. Well, they're doing a lot of 7-on-7 stuff, so you're not really going to hear a lot about Jermaine Johnson right now. Let's see who else is in here. What's up? Koopa Scoop. What's up? Verge Tibbs says, hey, fellas, just stopping by in the middle of pulling 3 weeks, 15 days of 14-hour shifts. Ugh,
Jesus Christ.
Sounds absolutely terrible. Verge, maybe you need to jump out of that job, but I get it. It is what it is. Kyle, he's saying hello to Kyle. Kyle ran the show for like an hour and something minutes the other day when I bounced out of here. So
I think we went about an hour plus. We went about an hour plus. Although apparently my audio and video wasn't synced together. So that was a little annoying, but it was still fun.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you watched the last stream. I'm not going to wear it today because I think it's I only wear it when it's me solo. But did you see the full result of my sauce chain or no?
No, I did not.
No, you didn't see the full sauce chain?
Oh wow!
It's a little Frank's Red Hot bottle.
So did you modify that and put that on it?
Yeah, literally. I just ordered like, it's like where is it? Like an earring kind of, and I just like bent it to it. So I'm gonna like clip it or something to make it a little bit more clean. But I modified it. I literally ordered like a $10 necklace and like a $6 earring for that. So I feel like I had to show you that.
Funny.
Better Call Saul. What's up, man? Favorite stream of the week. I appreciate that, Justin Saunders. What's up, Joey Breakdown and Kyle Smooth? I'm waiting for one of the Joey Breakdowns. I know I'm not gonna say who the name is, but Joey Breakdowns is a new thing. So what's up, MB99? Appreciate that, Joe. What's up, Yoshi? What's up, Sneakers? Lightning and Rangers game tonight. I know Eagles a big Lightning fan. Listen, actually wasn't really rooting against the Rangers. The only reason I hate the Rangers or dislike the Rangers is because I know a lot of Rangers fans are Knicks fans, and I just don't like Knicks fans. Other than that, I have no problem. But I walk into my in-laws' house, and I'm just sitting there minding my own business. I was actually watching some film. I don't know who I was watching film of, but I was watching film, and they were talking about the Devils and talking shit about the Devils and how great the Rangers are. They're up 2-0. I'm like, listen, you shouldn't be talking shit when you're up 2-0. Like, bad stuff can happen, especially in hockey. Like, people come back all the time. They talk mad shit, and now that's 2-2 going back into MSG. So I'm not going to say I'm mad, to be completely honest. If they lose, I'm kind of going to, at this point, be indifferent, but probably a little bit happy. I'm not going to lie, as a Devils fan. But for the people who are Jets fans, who are Rangers fans, who are also fans of this show, then I'm rooting for you guys. But that's about it. Go Rangers. What's up, Girth Brooks? What's up, Alex Hunt? What's up, Chris? Jets talk, all right. Yeah, we're going to hit and Chris, I saw your question on YouTube, too. I'll get back to that. We have a lot of stuff to get into. Already subscribe. What the hell? The Girth Brooks, we need to exercise our demons. Leave it at 666. Okay, that's fine. That's fine if you want to leave it there. Let's unsubscribe. But then the problem is, do we jump from 6.59 to, or what would it be, 6.65 to 6.67? I don't know. We got to figure it out, though.
I don't think it ever goes that quick.
It could. You never know. What if something breaks during the show? Kyle did a good job. Question: would you be willing to trade one of the core defensive linemen like JFM or McQuinn for a stud linebacker or safety? Kyle, I guess, and again,
who are we talking about? Like which safety or which linebacker?
Yeah. Of equal value, as good as JFM is at, interior defensive line, or Q is at defensive tackle. So that would be one of the top 20 linebackers in the league. I don't know what we're going to quantify that as. Maybe like, and he's been underperforming, but like a Devin White, I don't think he's as good as necessary. I think he's been a little bit regressing the last couple of years, but like, let's just say a relative value. Would you consider it?
I would definitely consider it, but I would really want to know the specific player, though. Yeah. Devin White, just that name off the top. I think he's kind of underperformed. If I'm not mistaken, he was the 5th overall pick, and I don't think that he's quite lived up to that hype, honestly.
Was he really that high of a pick?
We're talking about Tampa Bay's linebacker, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was 5th overall.
Devin White. So, Kyle, again, I'm going to apologize for the people who I do not get to the chat immediately. I'm going to do my best to fly through it. I'm going to be an hour behind. I'm admitting it now. Kyle and I have a lot of things to talk to, and none of it is organized well, because that's not what I do. I don't organize it well. I just throw it into notes section, and we just go from there, because that's not necessarily my expertise, but not what I'm going to take time necessarily doing. So let's hit on some quotes about, or just some things about Sauce Gardner. One, again, some lesser topics, but still some things that come through. Did you see him practicing with mitts, Kyle? Did that tickle your fancy that he's practicing with other mitts on?
I actually just saw that probably about like an hour ago. It was like the first I noticed that, because usually I don't get to check all these reports in live time. But I do like that. And I'll say that the Patriots had a lot of success with that with Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore, he was the 9th overall pick back in 2012, I believe it was, for the Buffalo Bills. And he was, he struggled, especially early on in his career with the Bills, got better. I think they franchise tagged him his first time around, but then they didn't renew him after that. So he was, kind of a little bit underwhelming, a little disappointment. And then he really took off when he got to the Patriots, and they did that with him. Putting, like oven mitts types things on with him, because he was a little grabby with his time with the Bills. So I think that's something that the Patriots were really trying to work on. Sauce doesn't really strike me as someone like who's really grabby to the point where, like, he's grabbing a guy and the guy's getting outside of his frame. But yeah, I like that, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. And I, in general too, I like what's his name, Tony Oden more than Denard Wilson, just based on some of the process I've seen with these guys, like how they're playing their techniques. And obviously, it's hard to necessarily guarantee what exactly they're doing in the meeting room, right? But in general, if techniques kind of spread throughout the group, you could tell what's being taught there, and staying square, staying on balance, not grabbing, I think are really important things for corners. And the fact that they're working on that is nice. And then another quote came out, again, a lot of interviews and stuff. Reed on Sauce says he is everything the media is saying. He's a lockdown cornerback. And then also with that, you had Saleh saying he has to earn his spot in terms of his starting spot. Kyle, is there any chance in hell that Sauce Gardner is not going to be starting week 1? And just go with that first. Okay.
Zero chance barring injury. Barring injury. I mean, that would be
Barring
the only
injury.
way, right?
And then something, and I hope I mentioned this on my show, Kyle, on the Sauce Gardner review, which you watched. And if you haven't watched, go and watch it. I'm working on Jermaine Johnson right now. I just watched his game versus Notre Dame. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Kyle watched my Breece Hall review. I put that out 2 days ago now or something like that. So make sure you go and watch that. But with Sauce, some of the like, again, the versatility, the Jets play a lot more man coverage than people think they do, especially on third down. We know that, blah, 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 blah. Maybe they mix in more this year. Hopefully they're versatile with that. That's great. And then I heard somebody, it was either I heard it or I saw it on a podcast, or not I saw it on a podcast. I saw it on Twitter where people were mentioning, and maybe it was Matt Bowen, maybe it was one of the other bigger like media guys who were saying that Sauce Gardner is going to be that player for the Jets. Maybe not now. Maybe he's not on the number one. Maybe he's not in the situation I'm going to talk about now, but like on the backside of 3-by-1 sets where you have like a zone look and cover 3, but basically that now it becomes like a combo coverage where that backside is lock man. And I hope I said that in the review. I hope I said that before where I said I think Sauce is going to be put in some man situations on the backside and like isolated on the backside where the 3 receivers obviously going to play it more zone. I don't know if you remember me saying that or if I said that on here.
I'm almost positive that I said something along. I mean,
okay.
I think you did say that, but I'm almost positive like on a stream months ago that I said something along the lines of that too.
Good. So I'm glad we both brought that up because I didn't remember if it was me or you, or it's just myself on a podcast by myself or live stream, and people are like, oh yeah, they're mentioning great point about the backside of 3-by-1, even a zone look. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Kyle and I talked about that like 2 months ago, but hey, it is what it is. We won't get that credit, Kyle. But in terms of Sauce, like at first, how long do you think it's going to take the Jets to make him the true like number one? And I think what's happening with their personnel is they're a little bit versatile now. Where like let's say it is a bigger slot or Stephon Diggs who moves into the slot. Maybe Reed can bounce into the slot and Breece Hall can come to the outside. Maybe after some time, it is Sauce on the backside of 3-by-1 look, so it is like a man and zone combination. Is it Reed at first on the ones? How long does Sauce kind of trickle in there as the one? Like, what are your overall feelings about how the corner position is going to shake out to both start the year and then as the year goes on?
Okay, good question. In terms of like, are you going to play Sauce? Like, are you going to have him traveling with like a true number one Stephon Diggs type of like receiver, like really early on in the year? I would guess probably not, but as he learns the playbook more and gets more comfortable in the scheme midway through the season, could you see something like that? Yeah, maybe. And quite honestly, like, I don't want to see Sauce in the slot really. Personally, it's just not ideal for his skill set. But Reed, you want to talk about like, kind of like I think it's fair to say he's like quicker than someone like Sauce. Especially like the way that like he breaks on balls and things like that. In any given, if you want to game plan a specific week, like, okay, we've seen, let's say, and I don't think the Bills actually do this a lot with someone like Stephon Diggs, but like, let's say that we were playing Jalen Waddle, for example, and I think Miami moves him all over the place. And let's say that on any given week, okay, we're seeing Miami play Jalen Waddle in the slot, a lot this year. We're going to have Reed travel with Waddle this week, even if he goes into the slot. I would like to see something like that personally, but I wouldn't envision moving Sauce in the slot, even if he was going to travel with the number one. What do you think?
Yeah. I guess it depends on the match. Listen, like let's say, it is a game where they're playing like the Bucks and it's Mike Evans, or maybe it's a Gabe Davis, a situation where they're going to play him in the slot a lot, and then maybe they bracket or cone, which to me is different. People use bracket and cone one and the same, but I don't. But maybe in a situation like that where it's a bigger guy, Gabe Davis, Mike Evans, one of those guys, maybe he goes into the slot. But other than that, I think generally you are correct. Now, moving through some more topics again, plenty of random topics to go here, Kyle. I just want to get through them. Did you hear that Jamal Adams told DJ Reed it's love in New York after he signed with the Jets? Did you hear DJ Reed say that?
Yeah, I did. But what the hell does that mean though?
It makes me.
I was thinking, like, does it mean like, is Jamal saying like, I still love you, bro, even though you're going to that shit ass team and shit ass city and that shit ass fan base, or is he saying like, it's love, like, hey, listen, the fans there will love you? Like, what was he saying there? It's love, like it's very vague and broad and cryptic. Yeah,
I don't trust him. Like, when we were negotiating with Marcus May, when he was talking to Jamal Adams all the time and shit, I'm like, I don't like that. Like, even when Reed was like, oh yeah, I'm boys with Jamal Adams, like, fuck that guy. Like, I don't want anything to do with him. But I could almost see him like begging his way to get back to the Jets when he hits free agency or something like that, or the Seahawks want to trade him. And I would love nothing more than completely deny him that. But moving on. Another thing that came out this week was I think it was it Saleh? I think it was Saleh. He said that Calabrese had coordinator opportunities and decided to stay. I believe it was at like Kentucky or something like that in college football. And he was a quarterback coach, and I think he was an offensive quality control coach from the Broncos, or he's a QB coach for the Jets now. He was the offensive quality control coach for the Broncos. So there's been some talk, obviously, in the past, and it's funny how beginning of the 2021 season, it started as, oh my God, the Jets defense is overperforming. Ulbricht's going to get poached. What are we going to do? And fire Mike LaFleur. And then sometime in the middle of the season, it transitioned to, okay, let's fire Ulbricht and Mike LaFleur is going to leave. So let's say the situation does happen, most ideally, obviously it's not ideal, but ideally the Jets offense completely blows up this year. Mike LaFleur gets hired to go be the head coach of the, the fucking Panthers, let's say, because they're a mess. Do you think that it would be Calabrese as the OC? Do you think it would be something from an outside source? Do you think it's Ron Middleton? Because the thing with Ron Middleton is, like with the tight ends, I get that he is a personable guy and he seems like a cool dude to like grab a beer with, but that can kind of work as like a head coach in terms of like, and I'm not discrediting Saleh or John Harbaugh's like overall coaching philosophy, but like the overseer,
not so much as a play caller.
Not as a play caller. So would Ron Middleton fit into that, or would it be? Do you think it would be a Calabrese type of guy?
And Middleton's an older guy too. Does anyone know what his age is? I have to assume he's at least in his 50s. And if you look at the way that the league's kind of moving is like, you're seeing really young offensive coordinators kind of get their shine anyway. So I don't know that that's the move that the Jets would want to go in with Middleton. It doesn't seem likely. And I do agree with your point that like, being a head coach in the NFL is kind of like being that mature, that leader guy, a guy who can work well with other people and, take on the media and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into a head coach, but yeah, I kind of don't see Middleton as an offensive coordinator. Could Calabrese be that guy if Mike LaFleur ends up going somewhere else? Maybe. I guess we'll see more after this year. In terms of him not taking coordinator jobs in college, I mean, Kentucky. I mean, like what would they be offering him as pay? Is it like is it like a wash in terms of pay? I mean, like, do you want to move and kind of move to a whole different city and stuff if you're going to get the same level of pay? Does he like the NFL better anyway? So, there could be a lot of reasons why he wouldn't want to take that. But I guess we'll see. I don't know, man. But hopefully listen, if the Jets offense takes off this year, I would say that there's probably a good chance that LaFleur is going elsewhere. Just because of the fact that, he's coming from the Shanahan tree. The league's all about that right now. And the fact that his brother's had so much success, I could definitely see him going elsewhere. But that's only if the Jets offense is legit good this year. If they play the way they played last year, which they won't because, you're talking about a year 2 quarterback and all the other offensive firepower that they added, they're going to be better. But how much better? I mean, everyone expects them to be better. But, teams are going to say, like, okay, did you legit help Zach Wilson, who had some question marks coming out of college? Did you help develop him into a legit starter? So if the answer is no, like if Zach Wilson is still a question mark by the end of the year, I don't see how LaFleur gets a head coaching job. But if Zach Wilson is legit, like, a legit quarterback by the end of the year, I would say, yeah, he's probably gone.
Yeah, so moving on from one coordinator to another one, and I want to bring up DJ Reed in a little bit too. I forgot to mention something else about him, but the whole Ulbricht thing, which I feel like got somewhat clarified by Saleh by pretty much saying he wants his guys to play a heavy rep or a heavy percent of pass rush reps, but then who is playing those run reps? Because he mentioned Quentin Williams specifically in terms of getting a lot of those pass rush reps, but then who the fuck is defending the run in the middle? That was my concern. But the Ulbricht quote basically saying that the Jets will limit their defensive linemen to 30 to 35 snaps per game. That's a hard and fast rule, he says. They won't play more because it comes as a detriment to the player. And to me, Kyle, like at that point, and if you're taking that literally, like people are only going to play 30 to 35% of the snaps a game. That's about half of an NFL game. And at what point do you not pay a guy $16, $17, $18 million, 19, 20 like Q might want, or even JFM who got like 14, $15 million a year if you're only playing 50% of the reps. So I think it almost seemed like he misspoke a little bit, but then he kind of doubled down when the media asked him again, because again, like even with JFM, is JFM worth $14 million, $15 million at 50% of the reps? No, he's not. Is anybody? Probably not, to be completely honest. Like a lot of the best players are seeing, like, I would say, don't quote me on this, but floating around probably like 75% of the reps. I know, different systems have different percentage of snaps. And I think even the Niners, when Saleh was the DC there, they didn't play 50% of the reps. So I think
that was going to be my question. Did Michael crunch these numbers, Ania? Because I was going to ask, like Saleh loves Bosa, loves him. Just hear the way he spoke about him. I'm like, pre-NFL draft, he was saying, listen, even though there was a ton of edge talent in this draft, he was saying you probably don't have like a Nick Bosa in this draft, even though like Hutchinson is probably somewhere in that stratosphere. Saleh made sure to say there's probably no Nick Bosa in this draft. So he loves him. And now I don't know the numbers of how much percentage of snaps Bosa played in San Francisco, but I have a hard time believing it was anywhere around 50%. Does anyone know?
I'm pretty sure it was up at like 65, 70. I could be wrong again, though. I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere. I don't think any real. There's no way. I'm going to say there's no way that JFMQ, one of these guys, played, especially in the interior, Kyle, because we know the interior, they have Rankins, they have some guys there, but it's not as deep. Like, I think you could say 50% of the snaps with the D lineman. If I told you pretty much, even maybe with Carl Lawson, if Carl Lawson, JJ, Curry, any of the starters, would you doubt that they're playing about 50% of the snaps? Like, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep Carl Lawson pretty fresh for third down reps or pass down reps, because he's not necessarily the best run defender in the world. He's okay. JJ, maybe kind of the opposite. Maybe at first, and this is how I see JJ, and I just watched the Notre Dame game. We'll talk about him in a little bit. I don't think he's going to be the best pass rusher to start off his career. Like, if I'm telling you right now, Kyle, and I'm curious, like, and just one word answer, because I'm going to continue. If you had to take one rep right now, 3rd and 10 for one of these guys to get a sack, are you taking both Curry and Josh and Martin over JJ right now at this very moment?
I would take yes. At this very moment, yes, I would.
So maybe JJ plays more of the rundowns, but I'm more
like on a second and three, pull Carl Lawson out and put JJ in. Like you might want both of them in at certain times anyway, but
yeah.
Just from that, like, in obvious running downs, yeah, JJ should play more because he's solid against the run. And shoot, man, in year one, it might be a stretch to say it, but it wouldn't be shocking if JJ is a better run defender than Lawson is this year. It wouldn't be shocking.
What would be, so let's kind of brainstorm through this. So we have obviously like pass rush reps. Obviously we want JFM inside. We want Q inside. I would say we want Lawson and then one of Curry, Martin, right, on the outside. Now, and this is kind of where I struggle with Q needing to see like a lot of the pass rush reps, because past him on the inside, you literally don't have anybody who could defend the run. Like, I think JFM on the outside is like okay run defender, but on a run defense down in distance, where we're gonna put what? Q, we're gonna have, I would say, Q question mark at D tackle. Next to him, and then probably what, JFM and Jermaine Johnson. Who is that other D tackle right now? Like, is it Shepard? Like, who is that other guy on the inside?
Shepard is not good against the run. I mean, he's not good, period. But
he's
a little bit better
than JFM.
I know.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They're obviously all better at rushing the passer, even though, and Rankins is certainly better than Shepard. Jeez, I'm still surprised that they re-signed Shepard. And correct me if I'm wrong. So they looked into Ogunjobi, but is he also? I think he's also better as a pass rusher as well.
So right? What I've seen from both, what I've seen from him, what I've heard from him, again, I got to watch for myself. I've seen in the run game, he's one of those guys who will get a tackle for loss for 3 yards, negative 3-yard loss, and then will be out of be in the wrong place at the wrong time and let up a 10-yard run. So he's kind of hit or miss in terms of the run game. So he's really high or really low, kind of boom or bust type guy. And in terms of the Jeff Ulbrich interview, I don't know if you watched the whole thing, but I don't love his vibe, to be completely honest, Kyle. Like, I think there's a lot that there's to be positive about this year. I think if there's one thing that says, hey, like, minus injuries, this is going to derail the Jets season, it could be the run defense. It could be some of Ulbrich's, philosophies. And I get that Saleh oversees this, which is also a problem with him. But in his interviews, he mentions that they lost, like, they asked him about Foley, like, oh, you lost Foley. And guess what he mentions in terms of, oh yeah, we lost Foley, but he mentions the players they have now, Kyle. Guess what? They don't have Foley, but they have Strain, Kyle. Because strain is going to get it done. Nathan Shepard, his strain got it done last year. So plenty of players have strain. So when I heard him say that, I kind of like winced. I'm like, fucking strain? We're talking about strain? That's what we have on the defensive line right now. So I'm really hoping they add another guy. And then in his interview also, he mentions that it takes explosion and getting on their side, the offensive side of the line of scrimmage. But so it kind of seems like they're doubling down on what they did last year, where we were concerned about them not two gapping. And maybe they weren't two gapping because they were trying to teach their penetrating system first, but then maybe they throw some wrinkles. But it seems like they're doubling down on, again, meeting them on their side of the line of scrimmage. But are you worried about the traps and the whams? And then he also mentions that they don't catch or read blocks, aka basically play a two gapping system. But there's situations, Kyle, where you may have to. Like, you can't just ride out your system for the entire year, because you go into play, obviously this is obviously not this year, or hopefully God not, but like the paths of times past or any other good team, they're going to adjust to you. So if you go to play a team in the playoff Super Bowl, you better be able to defend a wham in our trap. And if you're just running strict 4-3 penetrating up the field, you're going to have a really tough time doing it. So is he going to be too strict to his system, where it's going to be a detriment? Because again, if I have the perfect zone, whether it be a pass concept, zone beater, man beater, or I have the perfect run, run defense against your run, or if I have the perfect offense in terms of the running play, whether it be trap wham against a penetrating front, or a two gapping front, and I'm running zone, like, you have to adjust sometimes. So is there concern about Ulbrich in terms of him being too strict to his system? Because it didn't seem like he was willing to change it at all.
I think so. I mean, it was bad the entire year last year. Sometimes you'll watch a team and it's like they're really like terrible in one given area at a certain point in the season, and then like I'm trying to think, like take for example the Indianapolis Colts, the year they won the Super Bowl, I believe. Their defense was pretty atrocious for given parts of the year, and then they really kind of tightened up later in the year, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas this Jets team last year was terrible against the run all year. I mean, all year. Yeah. And so he's talking about, and
to interrupt you too, because I'm going to add to your point, like, and this is something we identified like really early, because we did streams all the time. Like, after that Pats game, when they were trapping and whamming the shit out of us, we're like, they better adjust to this, because that was really, really bad, and they weren't even trying. And then we just got gashed the rest of the year. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I really have to go listen to that press conference myself.
Go look, but you're not impressed.
So, when teams are going to trap you a lot, and like, do you need your guys to get upfield and penetrate? And of course, you want to be winning the battle of the line of scrimmage. You want to be on their side. Like, that's true. But we saw way too many times last year where offenses were inviting Jets defenders upfield. They were getting upfield. They weren't noticing that they were getting upfield way too easily, way too quickly. And then comes the trap, and then you're seeing a lot of offensive linemen get to the second level, and they're getting on the linebackers. And then you have these running backs who are just going untouched for like the first 5 yards plus. And it led to these, huge runs all the time. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like they learned from their mistakes or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm going to interrupt you here too, because you kind of took that pause there, so it's natural, and I see it in the chat, and I'll highlight some other chats too. I saw this pop up, which is again relative right now. Michael Andrid, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. He says Ulbrich said during an interview at the Senior Bowl they didn't adjust their scheme because their focus was on installing the system. Sorry, tongue twister a little bit. I'm okay with that, Michael. If that's the case, sweet. If they were trying to implement their system and basically trial by fire, use the young guys, teach them the main principles of the system, and then in year 2, year 3, whatever, we'll adjust. Okay, completely understandable. That's kind of why I prefaced the conversation with that when I asked Kyle the question I did. But if they are not willing to do that, it is going to be a problem, because no matter how, if you are so good at one thing, even if you execute it perfectly as a 4-3 front, 4-2 front, 5-2, whatever it is, if you're just going to single gap penetrate every single play, they're going to rip you up. It does not matter. Perfect call beats perfect call. Our perfect call beats perfect execution of bad call, kind of, is what I'm trying to say there, Kyle. So it is a concern, and they better fix it, because whether it be, the corner's not traveling early, the defensive line rotations, I swear to God, if it's a 3rd and 5 again, and I see Nathan Shepard, Tim Ward, all Bryce Huff and all these guys on the field, I'm going to lose my shit. Like I
Jags
like
across the board. Jags across the board.
Jags. Like you have to do that rotation. So it's a little bit concerning, but yeah, if that's the case, and they go to the year and they adjust and they have some hybrid fronts like Bill Belichick made famous with the Pats. Okay, great. But Kyle, let's move on to some other of the topics that have been floated around this week, and we'll get to the chat in a little bit. But in terms of Reed, in terms of DJ Reed, who I would say at this point, Kyle, talking about a lot of the signings, when I'm asked, like, okay, who are like you're under the radar, or like who do you like more than other people do in terms of the signings for the Jets? Two guys I consistently go to are DJ Reed and Tyler Conklin. I really think Conklin is going to be, and I think DJ Bieniemy tweeted us out today. He's going to be tight end 1, which I completely agree with, because we've been saying that for months. We like him the best out of the tight ends right now. And same thing for Reed.
And we don't like Uzomah that much either.
I think Reed is.
I had to throw that in there.
That's fine, and I think you're correct in saying that, Kyle. To be completely honest,
but comparing him to previous Jets tight ends, yes, it's an upgrade. So
literally took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for Reed, Salah says, and again, he's definitely underrated for me, but he says on the Good Luck Rangers video, I don't know if you saw that. This isn't about Salah, but they're all wishing the Rangers good luck. And Reed walks up to the camera and he says, quote, "I don't believe in luck. Go win." Love that fucking mindset from him. Like, he's so aggressive. And then you also had Reed, who was praising Moore's route running and mentions how he. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Actually, I'm going to bring that up as a separate topic. But what do you think about Reed? I think we're both thinking he's underrated by fans, and I get the numbers are out there. Like, oh, he's the 8th or 9th best PFF corner, which again, just I don't give a shit what PFF says. Which in this instance, it's working out well or it's on our side in terms of saying he's a top 10 corner. But I don't think people really expect Reed to be that good, and I don't necessarily expect him to be top 10. But I think Reed is legitimately underrated by fans at this point. How much he means, how much his mindset is, how tough he is, how quickly he gets out of breaks, how good he is at reading offenses. Like, Reed is going to be. And maybe this is a little bit of an overstatement, but he's going to be one of my favorite players on the team. Like, I love the way he plays football and his mindset.
Yeah, there's a lot to like there. I mean, like, he was an undrafted free. He was an UDFA, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
right? So
95% sure on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, your chances of going far in the league and like getting a huge second contract and stuff are pretty slim when you're in UDFA. But like it seems like people have doubted him. Even Salah admitted that he doubted him. Like, in his time in San Fran, like, he didn't envision him being this good, and he was gonna doubt him again, type of thing. So, yeah, I like those guys who, believe in themselves even when other people don't. And yeah, you see that tenacity, and like you were just highlighting a lot of things that he does well too. I mean, like, you want to talk about like, so we might not have any like great tackling corners. It's not like we have shit like Rondé Barber. Rondé Barber was an excellent tackling corner.
Darrell Revis in his
Darrell Revis was really good too, and my brother always tried to argue that he wasn't. I'm like, come on, man,
your brother
watch Darrell Revis.
He's an idiot sometimes. Yeah.
Watch when we went to Denver, 2010. Revis smacked the shit out of some receiver. I'm trying to think who it was. It's interesting how I can pull up plays from like 12 years ago and remember what happened sometimes. But sometimes I can't even remember a dude's name on the team. Anyway,
me and my wife talk about that all the time. Like, you'll remember a song that you've heard like twice from like 1994, but then you'll study something like it for a history test for 6 days and not remember it. But then you'll start bursting out lyrics you've heard once. It's like it's weird how the brain works with like music and shit and whatever else you don't want to remember. But continue.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, so like, but you want to talk about willing tackler too, and I would say he's a better tackler than Sauce too, especially at this point. Probably will be anyway. I don't see Sauce getting to be tremendously better at his tackling, even though he's willing.
The natural lever point of Reed helps him a lot too.
Yeah, so you want to talk about like a Spitfire type player who's extremely aggressive. Yeah, there's a lot to like there, and I love that quote too as well. I don't believe in luck, just win. Love it. Yeah. By the way, speaking of quotes, I kind of also like that Berrios quote about Zach Wilson.
Remind me. Well, actually, let's go to the Moore quote or the Reed quote about Moore, and then hit me with that, Kyle. But he also praised Moore's route running, and this was something. And the people were like, and I'm gonna be a little bit of an asshole here, Kyle, which is okay. I am that guy, but he praises Moore's route running and mentions how he runs an out from +2, like 2 yards on top of the numbers. And people were like going crazy, like, oh my God, +2 on top of the numbers. That's wild that he could do that and all this stuff. And what does that mean? And how all this stuff. I'm like, that is the most simple shit in football. From how he's praising running out route from +2, which again, all that means is to run an out route with not a lot of room to the sideline because you're starting from so far out wide. When guys start from really far out wide, again, really close to the sideline, typically they're either going to run a vertical or a crossing route. You don't see a lot of guys running out or out breaking routes from a really wide split. That's literally all it meant. And people were going like crazy about what that meant and how smart he is. It's like, that's kind of football 101 shit that we talk about here all the fucking time. But what'd you think about that, Kyle? Because I saw that people were going wild, and I was like,
I didn't see that at all. So people
Yeah.
were praising that's like something that's hard to do. I don't get it.
Like hard to do, and a lot of people weren't understanding what that meant exactly. And I'm like, you gotta, and all the 117 people in here know that, or should know what that means. You're watching the film shows, but running it out from +2, people had no idea like what it meant, kind of. And I was very concerned, kind of, about why.
I mean, running it from that part of the field. I mean, I would say that you probably have to be a little bit more crisp in your break because you're just working with so much less room. So like,
well, at that point, the stem is really, really important too.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I guess it's difficult in a sense, but yeah.
I was more concerned about people didn't know what the hell that meant.
I got you.
But go to what was your Barrios quote that you mentioned before too?
I think he said something. So I think the media was like, because obviously Zach and him seem to be really good friends. Probably Zach's best friend on the team, I would assume. And I think the media was kind of asking Braxton, like, can you say anything to praise Zach? And he said something like, I don't even need to say anything. He's just going to go out and prove it. Something along the lines of that. I'm totally paraphrasing, but I kind of like that. Like, all right, like, listen, he's my boy and everything, but he's just going to go out and prove it to you guys, type of thing. I like that.
Yeah,
it was kind of like humble, but like, listen, I got my boys back, and you don't need me to do it. He's going to do it himself.
Yeah, and I think we're both like that, Kyle, and I think that's why we're friends and we do these shows and we get along well. We really mesh a lot on just not necessarily football, but overall thinking and kind of how soft some people are, just in general. But like, to me, I'm not about like the words and the barking. Like, go prove it. Like, I like those corner. Even Reiff, like, not going to trash talk you, but he's going to lock Calvin Johnson down to 15 yards and not say shit about it. Like, I like that stuff. So for Reed, no luck, go win. Barrios, that mindset. Like, it really seems like they're really bonding, and they really have that mindset of like, we're going to prove the league wrong this year, which I think a lot of teams do to start the year. But how many times, like, even Avery Williamson came out, and I think he actually had an interview with our own Andrew Golden. He basically said like the Jets came out, scooped in out of nowhere and just threw him more money. And a lot of times in those situations where you have these guys like just playing for money and you're on a losing team, like, people are going to give up. I think this team is not going to. I think this team is legitimately like unified this year, which I don't think we could say for a team in many, many years. But another kind of topic about the about camp and about the just offseason in general is the fact that a lot of people are concerned right now that the Jets are starting really, really slow in terms of contact. Like, there's not a lot of contact. It's only 7-on-7s. Now, to me, that could be they're just trying to warm guys up, build them up until they have to hit and stuff like that. But at the same time, with that being said, Saleh kind of reiterated the fact that they're going to keep it light through camp. So and this is kind of twofold, Kyle. This is why I have an issue with that Ravens game to start off the year. If you're running a lot of 7-on-7, you don't have a lot of experience, kind of, for lack of a better term, banging. To start the year off with the AFC North, with those ground and pound teams, with the Steelers, the Browns, the Ravens, like, is that a concern right now that we're playing against the most physical teams and we're not being physical at all at camp?
It seems like one of the least ideal situations to kind of be in.
Very much,
especially the Browns, man. Like, the offensive line's really solid. You got those two backs. Is Watson going to play? But if Watson does play, he brings an extra threat. Okay, but he brings an extra threat on the ground. He's an extra gap that you got to account for in the run game. Because he's one of the better running quarterbacks in the league. But I guess he probably won't play given recent news. And yeah, Lamar. Is the offensive line probably what it used to be when they had Yanda? No. I assume that the Ravens are going to try to run Lamar less at this point of his career. This is going to be what, year 4 or 5 for him?
Year 4, 5.
Yeah, year 5 for him. So, like, earlier in his career, you could utilize running him more because you don't want him dropping back and throwing 40 plus times a game. Now you're probably a little bit more comfortable if he has to do that. So they're probably going to run him less, but still it's very not ideal. I understand it from a certain standpoint. I mean, the Jets dealt with a lot of injuries last year. I mean,
and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. It's like, and a lot of fans say that, Kyle, like legit, like, oh, we always get injuries on the ship. But the Jets, like, we did our top 25 players of the year last year, and I don't know in what order, but both of us had Becton and Lawson in the top three, or in two of the top three, and both of them went down, pretty much before the season started. So the Jets are legitimately that injured, like always. So,
did you have Becton that high? Are you sure?
I think I might be able to pull it up, to be completely honest, if you want to give me that. But also
pull it up real quick if you can, because I feel like I had Becton a little higher than you, but I could be wrong.
While I'm doing that, I also want you to hit on another point. While I'm scrolling.
Well, I want to finish the point about the injuries and stuff though too, because
go ahead.
It would suck. It would suck. Like, all right, so I get running 7-on-7s, and you can certainly pull your hammy running in 7-on-7s and stuff. And hamstring injuries could obviously be non-contact injuries. But there is something to kind of starting off and getting your legs under you. Like, if you haven't played football in years and you just go and play a football pickup game with your boys or something like that, your legs are going to be a lot sore after that game. Okay. Whereas if you're used to practicing a couple times a week and playing in a game, like, there is something to, like our coaches always used to say, like, getting your legs under you and stuff and kind of easing into that. Whereas if you're going from 0 to 100 miles an hour, you're more likely to get those injuries build up. And it would suck to get an injury like that and kind of have it trickle into training camp. So I get kind of starting off slow, but at some point, they're going to have to pick up the pace for sure. What were you going to say, Joe?
Now with that too, and I want to add on to that before I actually have the top 25 of last year, because Kyle, guess what? We are getting to the really dry point in the season. We're going to have a couple of, and I'm going to tell you guys some shows we have coming up. Actually, I'm going to get into that. We have some 53-man roster prediction. We have ranking the position groups. We have comparing the AFC rosters. We have position battles. We have fantasy player talk. We have top 25 players, which, Kyle, we've been doing top 25 on the Jets roster since probably 2015 or 16, right? Now, in terms of, so he was my number 4 last year in terms of my top 25 players. Could you guess my top 3 players in a row, starting from, again, whatever time we did this last year? What do you think my top 3 players on the Jets team was?
Was Carl your 1, Lawson?
Nope.
Was he your 1? Let's see. Quinnen was in your top 3. I know that. Carl was in your top 3 for sure. Mm-hmm. Who the hell was the other one? Why am I drawing a blank?
Quinnen Williams 1. Quinnen Williams 1. Carl Lawson 2. CJ Mosley 3. Becton 4. Yeah. Okay. So moving on. So 2 of the top 4 players, like, and again, plenty of other injuries: Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter.
By the way, can you remember my number 1?
Your number 1 last year.
Yeah.
Because it's Denzel Mims. You said he's in 11 touchdowns.
Stop.
Let me see. Let me see my list.
I had Denzel Mims at 12.
Number 1 last year. Who'd you have?
Don't look it up. I have it. I'm asking if you can guess.
I'm looking at my list. I'm looking at my list and seeing who you would have put there. Was it Becton?
No.
CJ Mosley?
No. Take another guess. One more guess.
Oh God,
Quinnen.
Quinnen.
It was Quinnen. Wow. It was Quinnen. I'm just saying, like, for all the people that say, "Oh, Kyle hates Quinnen." Kyle hates Quinnen. Listen,
you had Mims at your what? You had Mims at your what?
See that? Mims was 12 for me.
I had Mims at 17. But okay, moving on. We'll do the top 25 list we're gonna recap our top 25 list of last year and see where we went wrong. I know Kyle went wrong in a couple of places, so did I. But past the Jets practicing light as of right now, 7-on-7s, all that stuff. Carl Lawson tore his Achilles when last year, Kyle? When we were practicing
in the Packers joint practice, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well, guess what? Apparently, we're supposed to be practicing with the Giants and the Falcons before our preseason games this year. Does that concern you?
Not really. I mean, like, I kind of like those joint practices, to be honest. I mean, listen, when you're playing against guys that are not on your team, there's an extra level of juice. And every year we see this, whether it's across the league, any teams that do these joint practices, like, for example, when like DeAndre Hopkins, I think the Texans had joint practices with like the Redskins back in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was with Hall, right? When him and Hall got into that beef.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's that extra level of juice when you're going against another team. I like that. I mean, you need to get ready for the season, and it's during training camp. I mean, we're not talking about OTAs. It's training camp. So I like them personally. Carl Lawson was kind of a freak injury, and Carl Lawson is a guy who has had an unfortunate history of injuries. So, I mean, shit happens. So,
Eagle in the chat, I see him mentioned, look at the sub count, 6.66, rolling on the floor laughing. Yeah, we need to get that up. We need to get that up to the 667 today. So tell your friends, tell your wife, you know. So moving on, other interviews. Mike LaFleur didn't really take too much away from him, but he does mention the Uzomah. And I know we've been, again, like down on the signing. People will always be, again, we tell the truth. And I see a lot of people on Twitter. I see a lot of podcasts. I see a lot of YouTube. It's very, very easy, and I've said this a lot of times. It's very easy to be positive and get subs from positivity, Kyle, but I think people who enjoy the show like the fact that we keep it real. And Uzomah, while I think he's the best tight end the Jets have had since Dustin Keller, which isn't saying much, and obviously if you want to argue Austin Seferian-Jenkins, we can have that discussion. But so still a good signing, for what he was brought in for. Now, again, I think fans are overrating him a little bit, to be completely honest. But with that being said, Mike LaFleur did mention the fact that his leadership and kind of what he brings to the team in terms of that leadership is also a part of them signing him, which I do agree with. I think that people, to a certain extent, just think it's Madden in terms of like filling positions, and this guy's an 84 overall. Where the Jets, okay, maybe there was a tight end there that was an 84 overall, but Uzomah is an 82, and he brings that leadership. Like that is a part of it as well. As well when you're thinking about building a team. So Uzomah might not be the best player. Again, one of the better tight ends we've had in the last decade or two, which isn't saying a lot about the tight ends really for the or the tight end group the Jets have had in the past. But Uzomah really does bring that characteristic locker room guy that and you can see his like glowing personality through interviews and things like that. So I think he'll be a big piece in the locker room. So there is something to that.
Yeah, I agree. And as much as I've kind of trashed him, trash is probably even a harsh word. I've never questioned that for 1 second. Mm-hmm. That he's actually good at that. Like I legitimately think he is good at that from like, the speeches I've seen, his overall positivity, he looks like he's really happy all the time. He's always praising his teammates and stuff. All that matters a lot. You don't want cancerous players that just infect the whole team. You obviously don't want that. I also do question how much of that really matters in the NFL level. And I know it does matter. I know it matters. I just don't know that it matters as much as it did when you and I were in high school. And this is going to sound so arrogant and self-serving or whatever, but I was named captain when I was in high school. I was one of these guys who was always in the weight room. It
was a pity award.
No, it wasn't, man. No, it wasn't. Come
on,
and I certainly was not the best player on my team, but I would say that the coaches realized I had like a leadership quality. Like, after every practice, the coaches would always say, "Captains, you got him," and we would always have to say a word to the team and stuff. And
home of the whatever your team was, right?
kind of. What
was your mascot? What was your mascot?
I remember
in high school, Kyle.
The Tigers. All right, pretty badass mascot. Yeah,
South Plains
Tigers. Although we were green, our colors were green though. So I mean, go figure. Green Tigers, but whatever.
The green Tigers. We're the Seraphs. I don't know if you know what a Seraph is.
What is that?
It's a 6th-winged angel. That's what we were. So pretty boss.
That's pretty cool.
Continue.
Although you guys suck though.
But anyway, sorry for interrupting you for nothing.
And again, I know this sounds arrogant. I know. So feel free to trash me in the comments or whatever. But I remember this was a couple years after I graduated. One of the other kids who he was probably, I think he was was he a freshman? No, he was a sophomore at the time when I was a senior. And he called me like 2 years later, and he was like asking me for tips and advice on like, being a captain, like a leadership role and stuff, because that stuff matters because it's easy to get down in a game. And if you get down in the game and you stop playing as hard, you're going to get your ass kicked in football. Like if you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in your teammates, you are going to get your ass whooped. That stuff definitely matters in football in general. Football is the biggest team sport out there. I don't care what anyone else says. I just think that it matters a lot more in something like high school or college than it does in NFL, because in the NFL, you're literally motivated by millions of dollars. Whereas in high school and in college, you need a lot more to motivate.
So you agree with Saleh in terms of him not having to be the one to motivate these players? He said a couple.
That Saleh doesn't have to motivate the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he really needs. I mean, listen, do I think that when he gets jacked up on the sideline, like he did after that goal line stop against the Bengals, does that help to a certain extent? Foster an extra light a fire under some of the on the other guys in the team. Yeah, I think it does a little bit, but I mean, in the NFL, I don't think you need to do that much of it, man. I mean, listen, how animated does Bill Belichick get? The most animated that we see him get is when he feels like the refs are screwing him over, right?
Yeah, so I try to throw you like a alley-oop just to give Uzomah some credit, and you kind of say it doesn't matter. But it's okay. We'll keep moving on.
I think that Uzomah's leadership does matter, and it is a good thing for the Jets, and I'm glad that we have it. I just don't think that leadership matters nearly as much in the NFL as it does in lower levels of football. That's all I'm saying. And I do think I do think, for the record, I think he's a great leader. Right.
It does matter. Like if you have, and I agree with you, it doesn't maybe mean as much as some people think it does. But maybe the Jets are the example, but when you have the guys like Jermaine Johnson in there who couldn't give two shits less, like that can affect you pretty poorly, So to be on the opposite end of the spectrum, it does feel kind of nice, So moving on.
Well, you said the guys like Jermaine Johnson that don't give a shit. Who?
No. Did I fuck up my words? I meant Jermaine Johnson. If I said
Jermaine Johnson.
Jermaine. So moving on to the topics again, which again I'm just going in order. Again, no specific order at all. Michael Carter. I don't know if you saw that question when he was asked about being like a 1-2 punch basically with him and Breece Hall, and he basically kind of got like a little bit offended and said that kind of discredits the other backs. So, what do you think about that? And do you really think that there could be like a third running back trickle in terms of getting a legitimate carry of or legitimate share of the reps? Because I think we kind of agreed a couple of weeks ago. We think it's probably going to be 50% Breece Hall, 35% Michael Carter, obviously depending on the game, but obviously at the end of the year, like this is how it's going to shake out, but 50% Breece Hall, 40% Carter, and then like 15% other. So are they really discrediting other backs, or do you really see it being like a 1-2 punch with, again, it's
just a great quote. It's just a great quote from Michael Carter. And it's a great quote because why do you have to throw your teammates under the bus? Listen, Michael Carter knows that he's a much better running back than whoever number 3 is. He knows that, but he doesn't have to go say it, right? Like it's going to just probably cause animosity or bad feelings in the locker room, right? Some of these guys feed off each other. Like if Michael Carter breaks off a 40-yard run, he's going to want the other backs, like, patting him on the butt and stuff as he's going back to the sideline, and vice versa. Like they want to be happy for each other. You want to win in football. So there's no need for there to be jealousy, so to speak. I mean, you just let your play do the talking. Like we were just talking about that 20 minutes ago. Let your play do the talking. So Michael Carter knows that he's better, but he doesn't need to say it. Make sense?
I'm just going to leave the super chat on the screen until you read it.
Kyle, I think animals perceive tigers as green. Is that really true? I have no idea. Anyway, thank you for the super chat.
I think that's true. And like their stripes make them, because like deer and stuff are like colorblind, and it makes the stripes like make them like blend in with the grass or some shit. I forget exactly why it is, Girth Brooks, but I appreciate the $2 super chat. But I think deer do see tigers blend in with grass. So yeah, maybe green. I don't know. But Kyle, again, moving on through the topics, and Girth Brooks, I appreciate this the $2 super chat. But moving on to the rest of some of the stuff. Ring of Honor, Kyle, that happened in the last week, but the Jets brought in Nick Mangold is in the Ring of Honor, as well as DeBrickashaw Ferguson and Darrelle Revis. So your thoughts on them getting into the Ring of Honor?
Well deserved, man. I mean, they're certainly amongst the best Jets of all time. I remember a while back, I was having a conversation with an acquaintance of mine. I don't know that I can call him a good friend, but he's also a Jets fan, and he and I went to a Jets game. We went to 2015 Jets Jaguars with each other, and I remember we were like, I guess it was like pregame or whatever. We were looking around the stadium, and he's like, the Jets really don't have much history, man. And I was like, you're kind of right, man. There's a lot of teams that have like a lot more guys that are like have all these records and things like that. And to be honest, I know the Jets do have a Super Bowl, and there are several teams that can't claim to have one of those. but the Jets don't have much great history in comparison to some other teams.
Yeah.
But when you look at those two players, I mean, you want or not those.
Great.
So is the Brick Shaw Mangold? Was there anyone else? No.
Revis. So Revis.
And Revis, yeah. When you look at those players, I mean, like you want to talk about like multiple time Pro Bowlers. I mean, Mangold legit has a legit shot at the Hall of Fame. We know, and I think he'll eventually get in. I just don't know how long it'll take. Revis is going to be first ballot the first year he's eligible.
Yeah.
DeBrickashaw probably will never make the Hall of Fame. I can't see how he would. But you want to talk about a solid career in his own? You think Brick will?
Brick was really good for his consistency and longevity, whatever. But he was like Mangold was really like that like top 3 to 5 center, and Brick maybe a year or two he was, but I feel like he was more in the top 10, but always really consistent. I feel like, and again, people might like hang me for this, but I feel like Brick is overrated by fans in terms of his top level of play. I think what you got from Brick was a guy who was a good locker room guy, consistent there every single practice, there every single game, there every single snap, minus a wild card or a wildcat snap for the Jets. But Brick was very good, just not Hall of Fame level, where I agree with you on Nick, Mangold, and Revis, where they were Hall of Fame level players. And like Revis, like when people ask like, oh, your favorite Jets and stuff like that, like Revis, it's hard because he had the contract problems. He went to the Bucks. He won a ring with the Pats. But it's almost hard not to love Revis because like that's when I really got into football, like really, really got into football.
Same.
And he was the best, like you can argue literally the best corner of all time. And we've never seen that from any other position. Like doesn't matter if it's center, tackle, guard, D-end, nothing. We've never seen a player who's legitimately one of the best ever at any other position. Obviously we're talking about like maybe Klecko and Gastineau and Namath back in those times, but Revis is always going to be one of my favorite players of all time. But yeah, Revis and Mangold might deserve that Hall of Fame, ballot, whatever. Again, Revis is going to be our first ballot. Mangold, maybe not. But Brick, again, very solid. I just don't think he was ever to the level of a Mangold or a Revis. And people are going to hate that, but it is what it is. Like I remember the last couple of years, people were like, "Oh, keep Brick all this stuff." I'm like, "Yo, he fucking sucks right now. Like he's really bad at the end of the year. Like his year 9 and 10 were terrible. So he needed to get out, but." With that being said, he was very smooth in his pass sets. He had a tendency to get bull rushed at times. Chandler Jones always got the best of him, like early. And Chandler Jones, Patriots Chandler Jones, wasn't great yet. He really became great once he got to Arizona, but he used to get the best of Brick several times, and Brick was never great against the run. He can match his length. That's why Brick always thrive on his length.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, like, dude, he was the 4th overall pick.
You signed for Brick all day, every day, all day.
Yeah. So very solid pick. I'm glad that all of them got into the Ring of Honor. I remember when the Jets first opened their facility in Florham Park. They had like this. They were giving like a tour of it, and some of the players that you could meet there, it was Brick and Cotchery. And I remember I went there. And
I was
you were there?
You were there? Really? Hold on.
I was there. I was there, man. Okay. I'll send you the picture when we're done with the stream.
I'm going to show you a picture now that we're on the stream.
Yeah, do that.
Continuing with that,
dude, I was such an dude. I remember I went up to Cotchery and I was like, because they just traded for Santonio Holmes like a couple months ago, and I was like, oh man, you guys got Santonio Holmes now. I was like, where are you going to play this year? And he's like, I don't know, man. We'll see. He didn't want to like answer that. I felt bad.
I just remember him like telling me he was like in a car accident or whatever. He's like a glass rod in his forearm or whatever. And I thought that was like really interesting.
Cotchery was telling you that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a glass rod or something in his forearm or some type of rod in his forearm. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So with them getting into the Ring of Honor, a lot of people were talking about 2 players, Kyle, and I want to get your opinion on both these guys. Again, topics to discuss, and we'll get to the chat in a little bit. People brought up Mo Lewis and brought up David Harris. David Harris, he never made the Pro Bowl, which again, it's a fan vote, but Harris is, let's be honest, largely overrated by fans. I'm sorry, I love him too, but he's largely overrated by fans. For Mo Lewis,
good blitzer.
I did, yes, he was. I didn't really watch Mo Lewis play, so I can't really speak for it. But a lot of people on Twitter, I see them bringing up stats of Mo Lewis. Listen, if stats meant everything, Paul Poslugney would be a Hall of Famer, or Paul Poslugney, however you pronounce his name, he would be a Hall of Famer. Just because you get tackles does not mean you're a great player. So, not to be a dick.
By the way, if we control for a moment, if stats meant everything, dude, why the fuck am I forgetting his name right now?
You tried for a dunk and lost the ball.
God damn it! I fucked up the dunk. Jesus Christ! Longtime linebacker for the Miami Dolphins.
I'm just gonna keep piling on, Kyle. You see the Nick Young. I don't know if you've ever seen that GIF, but when Nick Young goes to shoot the three and he thinks it's going in, he turns around.
Yes,
and
yes. Oh, that is a classic GIF.
That is you right now. So
that is a classic GIF. I'm talking about the longtime linebacker for the Miami Dolphins, Texas Tech. I can remember Zach Thomas. I can remember what college he went to. Yeah. So Zach Thomas, man. I mean, like, dude, I think he's got like something like 2,000 something tackles in his career or something like that. Like he's like one of these guys that like had like 150 every something year. Yeah. But dude, and he's not really on Twitter anymore. But if you would ever watch Bets, he would post so many all 22 clips of Zach Thomas just getting absolutely fucking owned. There you go, man. Is that Vinny with you?
Me, Vin, and Jericho, and then I have me, Vin, and Brick that day too.
Yeah. I'll send you this pic. I was there that day, man.
That's funny. That is hilarious. Continue.
What the hell was I saying? Yeah. So, Zach Thomas, he probably will eventually get in the Hall of Fame, I assume. But I laugh every year. This is one of my guilty pleasures because I hate the Dolphins so much. Every year he doesn't get in, I love just going on Twitter and seeing the Dolphins fans cry because they love him.
I remember Travis Wingfield brought me on a podcast to talk about what I remember of Zach Thomas in terms of him getting into the Hall of Fame. I remember like years ago.
I'll give Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas was good. He was good in pass defense. I'll give him that.
Yeah. So I don't know about, again, I think Harris is a largely overrated by fans. Again, Mo Lewis, just because you get tackles does not mean you're necessarily great. But moving on, Kyle, through again some of the topics that have been thrown out the last couple of weeks. Pinnock, this was weeks ago, but Pinnock was starting at free safety. Thoughts on that? Again, really early in OTAs. I think to start the year last year, Isaiah Dunn was starting outside corner, and then he put like 2 snaps during the entire year. And the fact that Joyner, I believe, was out that practice, like how much value do you put into Pinnock starting early? And again, and you know this is to be the case. A lot of people watch broadcast. They equate Pinnock with having those 1 or 2 games where he really balled out. We know that those games were actually very, very negative, not very, very positive. Does he have a chance at free safety in general? Like, because let's say and I think he is making that full switch right now. Does he make the team? Because right now, I would think there's probably at least 5 or 6 guys that would take over him at safety. So do you put value into him starting? And just overall thoughts on Pinnock at that spot?
I think that I don't put much value in this at all. I think that the chances that he's going to play any significant reps at safety this year are very unlikely. Will he make the team?
It seems like they're making a full transition to that spot, to be completely honest, Kyle.
We've said it several times. I don't think it's a good move. And despite whatever PFF grade he had, or the fact that he did have like a pass breakup in that Jags game, it was really, honestly, not good plays. We've went over that. We put him on the screen. We've talked about it in detail many times. Process for results. So, and dude, and okay. What about Ashton Davis the past 2 practices? Again, it's OTAs. How much value do you really put into it? But apparently he had 2 interceptions in the past 2 days. Now, again, what are the context of those interceptions?
I'm gonna interrupt you on the Ashton Davis point because I was in the stream last week and somebody mentioned like, ask Brady about Eccles. And I was like, dude, I'm like, just because he picked off Brady doesn't mean that he's a great player. Like, ask Tua Tagovailoa about Ashton Davis. Like, does that mean he's great now? Ask Brady about Antonio Allen. He was a great, corner / safety for the Jets. So just to throw that in there. But
I bet you, and Tom Brady's a very smart guy and he remembers a lot of players. He might not remember Antonio Allen's name, to be honest, if you asked him about him.
Probably.
So, I mean, even though he did have a pick 6 against them, I mean, Brady's a very, kind of spiteful guy and he can remember big moments like that and he hates losing. So he might remember him for that reason. But I guarantee you Tom Brady doesn't remember him because he actually thought he was good. So So anyway, that's the point. But yeah, I mean, so Ashton Davis, again, I would like to know the context of these interceptions, but apparently he had a pick in each of the last 2 practices. But just based off of his draft position, his measurables, the fact that he's played safety a little bit longer, and the fact that he was an early 3rd round pick, I would say that Ashton Davis still has a greater chance of playing serious reps at safety this year than does Pinnock. Just being honest.
Yeah, I agree. So Kyle, keep moving on with some of the topics. The whole Mims thing. There's a lot of chatter about it right now in terms of expectations of Mims. I think I said last stream that if you can get like even like 300 yards and like 3 or 4 touchdowns from Mims, you'd probably sign the dotted line because that's like an okay number 4 receiver type numbers, which again I would sign up for. But people are talking about him and hyping him up, which I get. We want to be positive, and I really liked what he could have been at a Baylor. I really liked what he was in his rookie year. But his 2021 was absolutely fucking disastrous. It just was. And a lot of people will go and talk about the food poisoning and, oh, they brought in guys and he was demoralized about it. And then Saleh comes out and says, oh, well, he couldn't get his leg strength because of the food poisoning. Kyle, this must have been the worst case of food poisoning in the entire world ever. Like I just
that's Glenn Naughton's line, right? Your former co-host.
So,
that was his line, right?
I think he put it on Twitter or something like that, but he made such a good point. Like, how bad was this food poisoning? How bad was dude, listen, you kind of mentioned it with the high school thing. I got pneumonia right before the police academy and I was fine. Like it was okay. I was coughing up some chunks. I get I'm not an elite athlete or something like that, but like he gets food poisoning and he's running the wrong routes in fucking December because of it. Like, what are we talking about here? So
by the way, do you mind if I bring up something a little bit personal in your life about how you excelled at something that you told me about?
Go ahead. I'll take that. Go ahead, Kyle.
Okay. So Joe was telling me last year that he had gotten COVID and he was training to be a firearms instructor at the range. And in order to pass to become a firearms instructor, he had to have like a crazy shooting test where you have to shoot, reload really quick, and you have to shoot like, what was it, 97% accuracy or something like that?
95% accuracy with reduced times. Yeah.
Okay. And he had it with COVID, right? You had COVID, right? And you still passed the test.
I might have had COVID. I woke up I was exposed, let's say, and then I woke up the night before, or the morning of, with sweats and couldn't breathe and all this stuff. And they're like, "Hey, come on in and take this test." And yeah.
And you had to do it because it's only offered once every so often, right?
Yeah, I couldn't have went back and done it. Yeah.
So I mean, like, and we know that Mims also dealt with COVID, and COVID, like we said before, it does affect people differently, but and I know he's in great shape this year and supposedly he looks better and stuff, but after what I saw last year, I can't buy into the hype until I actually start to see it in legit games.
What's the minimum you take from Mims and be happy? Like if I told you right now, Kyle, sign the dotted line for Mims getting, and I'm trying to be like, again, I'm trying to think what you would think as like a passable number, like right at that floor. And I'm not like go with like catches in the YPC and all that stuff or yards per average, whatever. If you could sign up for Mims getting like 25 catches for 250 yards, 10 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns, do you take that right now?
Yes, I would. I would, just because, like, who am I going to play him over? Am I going to play him over Corey? Am I going to play him over Elijah Moore?
Was that a solid number to put it at? Like
very, very solid. Because, when I originally started to think about it, before you started getting into like stats and specific stuff, I was like thinking like, dude, if he just catches a couple he's got no touchdowns in his career yet. If he just catches a couple fade balls in the end zone for touchdowns, I'd be happy with that. Like, okay, you scored a couple touchdowns this year at crucial points when we needed them. I'd sign up for that. But I'm not even confident in that because like he was awful in the red zone last year, man.
He was terrible. Like, he was absolutely terrible. Like, let's just be real about it. I'm not gonna make excuses about the food poisoning and the COVID and he was demoralized. Listen, it's the fucking NFL. Like step up. Like that's my mindset. And I get a lot of fans want to be more lenient to their players, but let's be honest. The 141 people in here, if he was on another team, we'd be making fun of the guy. Like, I get we want to be positive, and I want him to work out. I loved him at Baylor. Loved him year one. Last year was a shit show. So can he bounce back from it? Hopefully. But I think people are assuming he's going to be a top 3-4 guy on this team, which I don't know. But moving on, Kyle. I don't want to pour too much time into it. People are say we're negative. There's a slight rumor about Fant being in contract talks. Thoughts on Fant in contract talks? Do you think he wants to sign here, not knowing he's going to be the left tackle of the long term? And kind of like, what do you think a fair price for him would be at this point? Like, let's say, okay, he wants a contract now. They don't know if he's going to win the left tackle job, so you're paying him as potentially right tackle or left tackle. Like, where do you kind of fall in the average per year for Fant, and kind of your overall thoughts about him signing a longer term deal with the Jets? And again, I'm going to preface it for you. Doesn't have a lot of reps on his body, has plenty of tread on the tires. He's not the same 29 that other guys who are 29 who've seen 6-7 years of tackle experience are. He's only seen a couple of years at it, new to the game of football in general. So he's a young 29.
And no major injuries. Like, he got a little banged up last year, but no big major injuries throughout his career that I can think of.
So where do you fall?
So I got I got a couple thoughts. I'm thinking out loud. I want to run it by you and also people in the chat as well. So number one, I feel like in years past, the pay gap between left tackle and right tackle used to be a lot bigger. And now it's not as big, although it's still bigger for left tackles. If I'm Fant, I don't think I would want to sign unless I'm kind of getting like left tackle-ish kind of money. But then again, Fant, even if he is a left tackle, let's not like say like he's like a top 10 left tackle or something like that, because he's not. So I don't know. I can't see him wanting to sign unless it was like for something like 16 or 17 million per year. And I'm not the greatest with contract numbers and stuff. Admittedly, I don't think Joe is either. But
I always remember the day that you told me on AFC East Bros, though. I was very wrong about the Kenny Stills contract, and I hit it right on the money. Always remember that. That's an OG memory right there. So, and for me, Kyle, I'm kind of falling around like $15 million a year for Fant. Somebody in the chat put 2 years, $22 million. There is not a shot in hell you're letting him for $11 million a year. You're looking at $15, $16 million a year.
You offer them that contract, he's laughing you in the face. I mean, that's a slight pay increase from what he got years ago when he signed here. Not to mention he's been a full-time starter since then. Yeah.
So would you be cool with Fant? Again, you know, it's hard to like pinpoint exactly how the contract's going to read, but 3 years, $45 million, $30 million guaranteed, like 2 years guaranteed of a 3-year deal. Would you do that for Fant right now?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what the chat thinks, but again, like I'm not shitting on you, Thomas, for any specific reason, or I guess for a specific reason you put it in the chat, but 2 years, $22 million is basically what he got last time. So why is he going to take the same price when all he's done is prove he's a captain? He played really well at left tackle. I get he wasn't as good as a right tackle, but you're looking at probably $14, $15, $16 million a year for Fant. And Kyle just said he would be willing to do it for basically, 3 years, $15 million a year. So, which I agree with you. I do. So moving on.
Let's just can we just talk about some of the tackles that we've had over the years? So Wayne Hunter, Ben Ijalana, right?
You better not forget what I'm thinking about.
Breno Giacomini.
There it is. Right? There it
yeah,
is.
Compare how much better Fant is than those guys, and it's night and day. Fant looks like a perennial Pro Bowler in comparison to those guys, and I'm in comparison to those guys, he really does. And so the gap. There's such. What I'm trying to say is there's such a huge gap in terms of stability and a guy that you can kind of trust out there versus a guy who is a complete liability. And Fant has brought some stabilization to this O-line.
Kelvin Beachum wasn't good enough for you, Kyle?
Listen, Kelvin Beachum was a lot better than those other guys I named, but
I know.
Really good. Yeah,
he was like the Brickashaw Ferguson light, like couldn't run block and a good pass blocker. But
and dude, I always found it so bizarre that why was his splits always so wide? I never could figure that out. Like he always had such so he was always split so far out from the left guard. I could never figure that out.
I've never seen. I would have to really sit down and think about splits, and that's a really deep football conversation. Maybe it could be the fact they're trying to widen the tackle so he could sit heavy inside and beat them inside because they don't want to get beat with power from so wide. Like there's little things it could be. I'd really have to get into the nitty gritty. couple of fat tires deep. I don't want to think like that right now.
Okay.
But so again, a couple more topics with the chat. We're plenty behind the chat, but some other little things have been trickled out. JJ might be moving to number 11, and Mims might be moving to 15. Kyle, thoughts on JJ to 11 and Mims to 15? And then we got like 5 more topics, and we'll get to the chat.
I wish Mims would go back to 5 and screw Mike White. Sorry, Mike White. Because if Mims could bring back some of the Baylor energy with number 5, I'm all for that. I mean, I know. So Mims started off at Baylor with 15, right?
We got some potentially breaking news from Yoshi. He says, what he just posted a video of the 80s Jets and specifically referenced the helmets and set Jets Twitter into an inferno.
Wow.
Jets moving back to the 80s logo, maybe on like a throwback, alternate, whatever it may be. I think it's a great idea, Kyle. I have been clamoring for that for years now. So
yeah, why not? I mean, I would say the Dolphins play about 3-4 games every year with their throwbacks, and there's a lot of people throughout the whole league, not just Dolphins fans, that really like them. And to be honest, I hate the Dolphins a lot, but I kind of like the throwbacks a little bit. So, and I know there's a lot. And listen, I didn't really start watching the Jets with these older uniforms. I was a little too young. But I know there's a huge portion of the fan base that really kind of likes the throwback. So
the jet with the swoosh thing is so clean. Like it's so much better than New York Jets with a fucking football in the middle. Like it just doesn't look great. So
yeah,
there's a lot you could do with a jet. Like let's start like expanding on that jet part of the Jets team, and like it's a lot easier to work with in a team like the Browns. Like what do you work with the color like just brown?
By the way, can we all agree that the Giants uniforms suck and their logo sucks? I hate the Giants.
Everything about the Giants sucks. So, Kyle, 5 more topics to get through, and then we'll get to the chat. I'm going to try to work through the ones that are a little bit – we're going to work small to big, kind of. This is one thing I thought about just randomly. I don't know if I might have been drinking. I don't know. Would you trade Corey Davis and like a pick to get one of like – let's say Debo or DK aren't in good standing with their contract negotiations. Would you trade on or move on from Davis to get one of those guys and have a core of Debo, DK, one of those guys, or either one, and Wilson, Moore, Berrios? Like, would you ever consider doing that? Like, hey, I don't know, the Seahawks call they want are next year's 2 and 3 and Davis for DK. Like, would you consider putting that much into the receiver position? Like, it was a random thought that I had.
I think at a certain point you might be kind of overdoing it, because you're going to have to pump serious money into that position now. And dude, so you're going to pay, let's say it's Debo. Let's say it's Debo, for example, because I think he's had a bigger dispute than DK.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say it's Debo. You're going to have to pay him. He wants what does he want? Like 30 million a year, upwards of 25 at least, right?
27.5.
Okay. We'll use 27.5. You're going to have to, Moore doesn't have the 5th year option, because he got him in the 2nd round. So you're going to have to pay him in about 2 years, because we're expecting him to be a legit star in this league. So you're going to have to pay him big bucks. Yep. And then eventually, you drafted Garrett Wilson at 10 to hopefully be here for the next 10 plus years. Where are you going to get all this money from you can't have all 3 of these guys on big receiver contracts. Just not possible.
It was something that crossed my mind. I'm like, would they ever think about trading Davis and moving on from him? His 10, 11, $12 million a year contract to double up on that kind of. I don't know. It's something that kind of crossed my mind. So
it'd be fun as hell if those guys, if none of them were selfish and they all could live with spreading the ball around and shit. It could probably do one
for 12 heavy, 22 personnel heavy type of offense. It definitely is.
Yeah, I think that the Jets have a lot of other concerns at this point.
So moving on, again, some of the other smaller topics we have, again, 4 more, and we'll get to the chat. Kyle, so we've been watching a little bit more film, and I'm only going to talk about 2 guys right now because I haven't got to Clemens and Mitchell and all those guys. I watched Wilson. I watched all of Ruckert. Those are coming out soon. I'm going to have a review with Marcus Coleman. He played 11 years in the NFL as a defensive back. So I'm going to be breaking down both Wilson and DJ Reed with him, which will be really fun.
Nice.
But I was actually supposed to record that today, but some things came up for him. I'm gonna record it next week. But I'm doing JJ right now, and I did Breece Hall. You watched the Breece Hall review. That's out there. So do you have any more expanded thoughts on Breece Hall? Did you learn anything from the review? Did you kind of notice something? Did you disagree with something? Like, what were your thoughts on the Breece Hall and the Breece Hall review?
Yeah, so I definitely kind of trust my own eyes and my own evaluation, but always when I watch your I could be watching the same exact games and the same exact plays, and then you'll point out certain things. Oh yeah, I definitely missed that, or oh wow, I didn't quite think of it that way. And so for example, one thing that you kind of said that came to mind was you were talking about how, Breece, yeah, I know he ran a 4.39, but he's probably more like a 4.45 guy, and I kind of agree with that. Like,
Yeah.
So, and by the way, 4.45 for a running back is really fast. And like, so when you said that, I was thinking, what did Jamal Charles run in the 40-yard dash? And what year did Jamal Charles get drafted? I think it was like what, 2007, 2008, something like that. So I went and looked it up. And he ran a 4.38. And I was thinking, yeah, Breece doesn't have that kind of pull away speed that Jamal Charles did. Like Jamal Charles was grease lightning, right? Like he pulled away from guys. And Breece, yeah, you never heard that expression before?
I've heard it. I heard it back in the 80s, just
back in the 80s. You weren't even alive in the 80s.
I know.
So
I was a twinkle in my dad's eye.
So like Breece can pull away from dudes, but there are sometimes you watch his college tape and he will kind of get caught from behind by guys and get, like little ankle tackle or whatever. Although there are other times when he does pull away from people, but again, it's college football, right? He's going to be a little bit less likely to do that in the NFL. He does have very good speed for a running back. I just don't know that it's like quite 4.39 speed in the way that Jamal Charles was, like 4.38. And, I know a lot of people are saying like these 40 times at the combine now, it's like, is it the turf that they have at Lucas Oil Field? Like, what is it? Like people like they're running these crazy record setting 40-yard dash times. Yeah. Or is it just that players are better trained to run a 40-yard dash at the combine nowadays versus what they were 14, 15 years ago? So that's one thing.
3-4 months for it. That's a reason why,
I think one thing that you pointed out in your review that I didn't quite see as much with my own eye is like how good he is at when defenders come in high at not the best angles, how he just like undercuts them. Yeah, he just undercuts them, and he's very good at like taking the ball. What are you gonna pull up the play?
I'm gonna pull up the undercut play just to play while people are watching.
Okay, yeah, do that. And like one problem, like so he's very good at like dipping his body and reducing contact, but very frequently you don't always see him have two hands on the ball, and that might be some reason why he has ball security issues. But at the same time, like it works in both positive and negative, because that's part of the reason why he's able to undercut people so well. Is so when you have the ball just in one arm versus two, you're reducing the contact point for people. Another thing that you said that was pretty good too, and I pretty much agree. Like he doesn't have like this like devastating stiff arm. All right, let's watch the play and then I'll continue to.
No, it's fine. No, keep talking. I'll play it while through your talking. But
okay, cool. So like obviously Derrick Henry has like the preeminent stiff arm in the NFL now. Oh yeah, this play is sick. So Derrick Henry's got like the stiff arm and like he like levels people. And I remember so after the Jets drafted Breece, there was some Jets fan, young adult on Twitter who said, man, I played against Breece in high school and now he's drafted by the team I root for. And he sent me, he threw me a stiff arm that's, made me rethink my football career. I don't know if you saw this. It was a cool tweet. And I know it got retweeted a gazillion times or whatever. And Breece Hall stiff armed the shit out of this kid in high school. And the kid put up the video of it. But yeah, so like Breece, he doesn't have like one of these stiff arms where like, he's like, throwing it out and like jolting the shit out of you and like stopping you in your tracks. But he's very good at like kind of like throwing it out as like a barrier to keep you off of him to like, so you're not really like coming into his frame and stopping him. Shock absorber. Yeah. Yeah. So like, he's a very fun player. Very solid.
Other things I want to ask you about that. Like, what did you think about his, and I mentioned it in the review, his vertical versus horizontal explosion, that, and then his, to what I would say is his, again, I like Breece Hall a lot, and I think he has the ability to be a like goal line power back, but I don't think he's the best at it right now. Like if you told me right now, 4th and 1 yard line, the Jets are trying to get a touchdown, I'm taking Michael Carter over Breece Hall, which people might think is crazy, but there's a differences in the way in the way they run. So what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, let's talk about the goal line first, and then we can get into the other thing. Yeah, I think I would take Michael Carter as well. By the way, what's Michael Carter's weight? Do you know? Is it around 205, 210?
I was gonna say like 198, 200, 205, if I had to guess.
Okay. So definitely on the lighter side in terms of running backs for sure. But he is also a little bit shorter, and that can have its advantages on the goal line, because if you're a defender and you can't see him because he's so short, how are you going to know where to aim, to get in on the tackle? 201. Okay. 201, so that's one thing right there. But sometimes, so one thing that you pointed out in your review, when you're on the goal line, patience is not a virtue on the goal line. You sometimes just got to hit it, because those defenders, they are clogging everything up. So we were talking about okay, let's say you're on the 50-yard line and stuff. You can run a lot of trap and stuff and let defenders kind of get up the field. When you're on the goal line as an offense, you're not going to let defenders get up the field. You're trying to control the line of scrimmage. So, Breece Hall's patience can sometimes come in an advantage, but not on the goal line. So he's a little bit too patient to be good on the goal line, but also too, I don't think I've ever seen him in any of his film where he kind of takes it like LaDainian Tomlinson style and jumps over everyone for the touchdown. Did we see that?
There's a lot of hesitation on the goal line from him and short yard situations. Yeah.
So I think I would agree with you there. Now you were talking about the difference between vertical and horizontal speed. Can you kind of clarify what you meant by that?
Just in terms of his ability to explode out of cuts or to accelerate vertically versus horizontally. I think he can get away from some guys press the C gap, explode one step through the B gap, and get past some guys where that's good. But I think some people equate that to having overall speed, where Derrick Henry might be more of a north-south type vertically explosive runner. But in terms of outpacing a guy to the sideline to turn up the sideline, Breece Hall is not that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. So Breece's vertical speed, another word we can use is long speed, right? Going the distance. Again, it's not 4.39-ish. It's good. It's good. He's definitely going to pull away. If Breece Hall has the rock, I said this a couple weeks ago on a stream, if he has the rock in that Dolphins play where Michael Carter went 40, 50 yards, I think Breece Hall legitimately can probably get in the end zone there. Whereas Michael Carter probably, he obviously didn't.
I agree with you. By the way, I like
you. Well, thank you. Thanks, Robbie Sabo, for sending it over here. Hey, can you pull up, being that we're kind of talking about this and it's not totally related, can you bring up the one play, the hurdle play from your review? I don't know.
Jesus, what play was that?
I was texting you about it. You know what? Let's see if I can.
If you can pull up your text and pull that up, because I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
Kyle,
this would be 24 from your review. Pull up 24.
G lead. All right. Share. Yeah.
Part of the so sometimes I'll be watching Blewett's reviews and I'll send him a screenshot from a certain part. And I'll be like, all right, this is something that kind of stood out. And part of the reason the play that Blewett just pulled up, you're going to see that play on every Breece Hall highlight tape. All right. Anyone who knows anything about breaking all 22 film down, they're going to highlight that play. It's a special play. Everyone can, I can see it. Yeah.
I got it. Yep.
All right. So that last play that Blewett pulled up, everyone's going to talk about that. But how many people are going to talk about this play right here? Do you want to kind of go over what you were mentioning?
The one thing I don't like to glow it up all the time. But 138 people in here, Kyle, minus me and you. How many people have seen this play? Be honest in the chat. Have you ever seen this play? I'm gonna almost guarantee you haven't. And the thing we talk about in this play and get into it in the full review, which again I don't go into it in this review. One, because I'm having fun. I like to talk more generic stuff in this review and talk to you guys in the film, Kyle, which I hope you didn't dislike too much. But the entire review, I was struggling with allergies, just dying, trying to get through it. But
I don't really mind. I don't really mind it that much. I mean, shit happens, I dealt with really bad allergies when I was a kid.
Stop sniffling in the stream. I'm like, it is what it is. No show or you get me sniffling.
You can't control it, man.
We talked about a lot on this play in terms of if you watch him when he hurdles right here, just the lightness in his feet and his ability to be a 215, whatever he is, 215, 10-pound guy, whatever exactly he is, the ability to stay as light as he is on his feet right there. And you could see him as he hurdles almost go to land on that left foot, but then he realizes just spatial awareness in his peripheral vision that he's not going to be able to land on that left foot because the left foot's going to come down on the ankle. And to kind of refit his feet to land on the right and to explode in one movement to get through that gap right there is really, really, cover your kids' ears, but really fucking impressive. It really is. And when I played it the first time, I guarantee you a lot of people watching is like, who cares? Like that looks stupid. Like it doesn't matter. That little shit like matters. It really, really does. So again, I highlight it probably for a minute or two on the review, Kyle. If there's anything you want to add in terms of
so like let's say that this was a 1st and 10 run.
By the way,
hypothetically.
Side note, Kyle. I also, and I mentioned this on his review, some of the times when he's cutting, he doesn't open up that foot that I talk about, like in terms of opening up his hips to take it over that foot.
Yeah.
On this rep too, you can also see that he purposely opens that foot a little bit just to allow his hips to come over. When you don't open that foot and your hips lock out to the direction you're going in, it's going to be really hard to work over that. So to turn the opposite direction or to vertically explode, you want to open that foot in the way that you want to explode through the infoot too. If this foot was more turned, he couldn't explode through it. It'd be more of like a jump cut instead of kind of opening his hips to get it square to that cut. It's kind of hard to explain right now, but Kyle, I'm very, very sure you understand what I'm saying there.
Yeah, I do. And I just wanted to say, so like if this is like a 1st and 10 run, for example, you might get a good amount of backs that can, make the hurdle and turn it into a positive gain. But how many backs are going to get out of this hurdle and then scoot up in that little narrow gap and then get that extra 4-ish yards right there? And you want to talk about like, all right, on a 1st down run, the difference between an extra 4 yards, you're talking about a 2nd and short versus like a 2nd and long or, a 2nd and mid at best. It's a big difference, right? When you're in 2nd and short, the whole playbook opens up. If you want to take a shot, you could take a shot. If you want to just go for the 1st down, you can go for the 1st down. But you always want to be, you don't want to be behind in the chains. So that stuff matters a lot, in terms of play calling and things like that. So it's a little thing that probably not enough people are pointing out. But anyway, I like that play right there. And there's a little big thing.
It's a little big thing. So have you watched JJ Moore? That's another question I want to bring up to you in terms of, I just watched his Notre Dame game. I have a lot more to go. I think I have 7 or 8 more JJ games to go, and I'll have a review on out on him as well. Again, you're gonna get JJ, you're gonna get Ruckert, you're gonna get Mitchell, all these guys, you're gonna get all the free agents. That's all still coming again. Relatively new house, married, all this stuff happening. Dog, it's gonna take a little bit longer, but it's all gonna come out. Trust me on that. So, have you watched JJ Moore, and kind of do you have any expanded thoughts on JJ? Because that's the two guys I kind of want to bring up in terms of some of the film. And I don't know if you wanted to bring up any more of Breece Hall, but
no, we can move on from Breece unless you wanted to say more about him. So good question. I assume that you didn't, and I totally understand why you wouldn't tune into the stream after you had left 2 weeks ago. You didn't hear any of it, right?
I did for some, definitely. I don't know if I did it for the entire hour.
Okay, so I'm almost positive it was Harold who asked me like if I had any expanded thoughts on him. Being that it's been like a month something since we had drafted him, and I said that he's grown on me a little bit, and part of that might be my fan bias, but also like I continue to be impressed by what I see in the run game by him. Which again, that's solid. I think he does have a really good motor, which that's always a prerequisite for me as an edge rusher. I do not want a guy who's got a poor motor. And in terms of him as a pass rusher and winning on pass rush reps, I still have a ton of questions there. So the only other all 22 game that I've watched since we've drafted him that I did not previously watch was the NC State game against Ekwonu. And I don't know why that I didn't watch that one on my own. I guess it was just in like a different folder or whatever, and I didn't notice it or whatever. But I felt like he definitely held his own against Ike Ekwonu, and I feel like he's much better when he's in line at a close contact point with the offensive lineman, because he definitely has very violent hands. He beat Ike Ekwonu with several clubs and arms over. I mean, like, his hands are, pretty quick in line, but whenever you kind of move him, it's like if he's ever playing like a wide 9 where he's like really far, like, and it's sad that we haven't seen so much of him using his speed to power, because we know that he has good speed. Just look at the 40-yard dash that he ran, right? Like we know he has explosion, but I just didn't see enough of it in college. So like when I did watch a lot of his college tape, whenever he's got to make up a lot of ground, he just wastes so many steps and wastes his momentum. But when you keep him closer in line and he doesn't have to close that distance as much, he's a lot better. And I feel like I noticed that a little bit more in that NC State game. And I do feel like he won with like a spin move or two against Aquanu as well. So, after watching that game, I came away, okay, like I'm not going to act like I still don't like the player. I still don't love the pick, even though they got him at 26, which again, I'm so happy that they got him. Don't get me wrong. I still would have taken Carl Loftus there, but yeah, so would Joe. But he has grown on me a little bit. And I also do like the way that, he carries himself with the media and stuff. And so, yeah, I guess he has grown on me a little bit. And I did watch him a little bit more to answer your question.
Yeah. So I watched Notre Dame. I still feel the same. I still see some forced spin moves when he's inside. I still see some bad setups. I still see some times where he's kind of trying to dive into the tackle to open up or soften the outside lane, and he's not really doing it with enough force on like the first 2 or 3 steps of his set to kind of hold the tackle inside. Like to be honest, the Notre Dame game gave me a lot of the same questions that I had. Really good run defender, and like in terms of the outside versus inside thing, like there was almost some times when I was watching where I was like, would he benefit more from being outside, because he's trying to throw too many outside spin moves starting from like a really tight position. Like it's going to be really, really hard to explain it, Kyle, right now. I want to do it more over the actual film show, but like sometimes he's so tight where he dives inside too heavy and forces an inside or an outside spin move, where I wonder if he was more outside as like a 7 or 9, would that angle kind of help him to have that or maintain that outside leverage going into his spin move. It's really hard to explain without the film.
It is hard to explain without the film, but I can see what you're talking about, and obviously I've noticed these plays too. But when you're inside and you don't have a lot of room to work with, and you're spinning outside, you're working against your momentum. That is really hard to win that way, and then to expect to close on a quarterback, like I mean, that's a lot of work. Versus think about.
And I still saw a lot of like hesitation and him like pitter-pattering his feet and coming into blocks high. Like, listen, again, people will look at highlights and all that stuff. He is very far away from being a good pass rusher. Like, I didn't watch every single Senior Bowl rep, but he's a lot farther than people think he is. Like, if I said the over/under right now, JJ 4.5 sacks in year 1, what would you say? Would you take the over or the under on that? We're being realistic. People are like, oh my dude, 1,000% over. But be realistic. Like Q had 7 sacks last year. A lot of guys start out pretty slow. To me,
I think Q had 3 sacks as a rookie. And granted, he's not an edge rusher, but still,
I think that JJ is going to start off slower than some people think he is in the pass. Like people think he's a stud pass rusher. Kyle, he is far away from that.
And let's also say we were just talking about reps before. We know that they're not going to play a high percentage of reps, and we were just saying it would be smarter for the Jets to play him, especially early on in his career, and especially given Carl Lawson, you want to reduce him, play him on rundowns, and make sure Carl's getting in on pass rush downs. I would probably take the under, probably.
Yeah, I don't think.
But again, sacks. I mean, like. He could just luck into some sacks, like Calvin Pace lucked into 10 sacks.
Hustle sacks.
2013 year, yeah.
So like, and I think people like may think we're being harsh on that, Kyle, but he does, and he still has a long way to develop. And I'm watching it even with. Listen, like I try to be as grounded as I can, but like after watching JJ and then him getting drafted and watching him again, like you think I'd probably have a little bit more. Like of a cushion for his bad plays, but I in the game I watched, I think I recorded like 5 or 6 plays out of those, Kyle, and like 3 or 4 of those kind of like, like I get it, but I think he's more of a late first round guy than people like. Like when he got drafted, 20, where did he get drafted? 26, right?
26, yeah. Mm-hmm.
26.
26. Yeah.
People throughout the ESPN, NFL Network, all this stuff were like, oh my God, how did he fall? Like, I'm sure we were sitting there like, it's kind of where he deserved to go. Like I like the pick, but he wasn't a top 10 guy ever to me. Like and we said it for a while, Kyle. Like if he was drafted at 4 or 10, we'd be fucking furious. Like
I remember many months ago saying I have no interest in taking him at 10.
Yeah, and people like shit on us for it, and we said like it is what it is. So moving on, we have 3 more topics. We'll get to the chat again. A lot of chat to get to. Riley Reiff.
Why don't you get to the super chat before we do Riley Reiff? Just because it came in a little while ago. Nose kills.
Nose kills. I actually went to go highlight it and I forgot it. Nose kills is here with Euros. Which non-QB rookie second-year player taking a big leap would benefit the Jets the most? Getting laid off. Thanks for providing a safe. I'm good though. Okay, cool. Yeah, good. So you said the laid off thing. I was like, oh shit, like nose kills have to be in a bad spot. You said I'm good. So I appreciate that you added in that you're good. Nose kills, and I'm happy that you are good. Hopefully, you're moving into a better situation than you were before. Which non-QB rookie second year player will take the biggest leap? What do you think, Kyle? I'll throw it to you first.
So is he talking about a quarter? I mean, like it could be. Is it a rookie or a second year?
It's everybody but Zach Wilson. Any rookie or second year player. So the biggest leap, kind of like the problem with that comment, nose kills to me is like leap is from year 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 or 4 to 5. So I don't know if a rookie can necessarily take a leap. But let's modify it. And I'm sorry, nose kills, because it's your question. But like second or third year, third year would be Becton, right? So which second year player? Taking a big leap.
Becton was the player that came to mind, but yeah, he's technically third.
He's third year. So it's a second year player because no rookie can really take that leap. I would say, because obviously, like, I would say if it was a first year player taking a leap, like okay, Jermaine Johnson, I guess, but it's hard for a rookie to take a leap. So second year player taking a leap, who would benefit the Jets the most?
Good question. Jeez. And I'm also thinking like Garrett Wilson, but he's also a rookie. So like, we're talking about leap. I mean, the reason why Jermaine Johnson came to mind, and I know you just mentioned him as well, is because in my mind, he still has a long ways to go. So like if he actually did like take a serious step up in terms of his pass rushing,
yeah,
like that would be huge for the Jets. Huge. Like if you could play him on run and pass downs, that would be huge for the Jets. But what would be your answer? I'm curious.
So I was thinking Elijah Moore, but I think I have some talent at receiver in terms of just in terms of like threats with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and all that stuff. So I would probably say like AVT taking that rep, like that leap to being like a Pro Bowl level player, which I get. We all have high like thoughts of him. I do as well, but he's not that yet. So I think AVT being that stalwart on the offensive line and really solidifying himself as a Pro Bowl level player. Then you have him as a Pro Bowl level type guy. You have, Tomlinson, obviously you have Becton, but he wasn't in the running for this. You have Fant. Like that's a big step. I think people will assume, but it's not necessarily locked in. So I would say AVT for both the impact and the positional importance of the offensive line, but also in terms of helping out Zach Wilson as well would be the biggest like kind of jump from the second year players to help us out.
I think that's the answer that makes the most sense because, when we talk about like what we saw last year, I feel like at a certain point last year, like teams, when they were game planning for the Jets were, okay. Were they like concerned about Elijah Moore the way that you'd be concerned about Deebo Samuel? No, but they were like, okay, like this is the threat on this team. Like this is the future star. This is the guy that we have to worry about. This is the guy that can, break our backs for a 70-yard touchdown. All right. So like teams would game plan against Moore and like you kind of like his highs were bigger than AVT's highs. Right. So like AVT, while solid as a rookie to be sure, he needs to take a bigger leap to get to, we traded up, drafted him, I think it was 14th overall, right? Like he was drafted 20 picks before Elijah Moore, right? So we didn't, and you could argue very well that offensive linemen in their earlier years, their rookie year, probably have like a bigger learning curve than wide receiver. I would think that that's true. So I think, so AVT needs to step up a little bit more. And if he definitely does turn into the Pro Bowl level talent that many people think he can be, that's going to be huge for the Jets. So I do think that that's probably the answer.
Okay, so Kyle, I'm going to throw another question to you. And then I'm going to take a 10 call because I have to break the seal. That's what happens with beer. So Reiff, they bring in Reiff today for a visit. I think there's actually a picture of him talking to Joe Douglas and whoever else at practice. So 34 years old. To me, again, I think he had an injury, but he was ranked, again, PFF, put what stock you want into them, but we will do our own review of him. But he was ranked like an average-ish to below average tackle. So what do you think about bringing him in? First round pick of many, many years ago.
2013, the draft that we went to, Joe.
Yeah, 2013. So what are your thoughts on Reiff? And then I'm going to go, again, break the seal.
Yeah, I wish I could say like, oh, I know a ton about his game and, you know, what exactly he has and what is he at this point in his career. I couldn't say that much. I mean, listen, he's from Iowa, right? Iowa and has produced a ton of good offensive linemen throughout the years. You know, so he got drafted by the Lions. All right. Then he played years with Minnesota and he was with the Bengals last year and he did have an injury. I think he's 33 now. You want to talk about a guy who's got experience? He definitely has experience. Okay. How much does he have left in the tank? I don't know. I did also check the PFF grade just because I'm always kind of curious, and it was like a 67 or whatever. I can't act like listen, they definitely need offensive line depth. That is for damn sure. So is this the right move? Would you prefer someone like him over like Eric Fisher? I don't know. I mean, Fisher's also on the older side of things. He was also in that 2013 draft. He's also, dealt with injuries later in his career. But he probably thinks of himself more as a starter at this point of his career than someone like a Reiff does. I would definitely be happy with the signing because they damn sure need an offensive lineman. Is this the guy? I'm not sure. In terms of what he brings is like, leadership and a teammate. Is he cool with being a backup at this point in his career? I would think he'd probably have to be. I mean, like, listen, is he legitimately think he's going to come in and start over Becton or George Fant? I don't think so. So if he's coming in and meeting with people, he's probably okay with the backup role. My question also is how much versatility does he have? How much has he played right tackle versus left tackle in his career? Because that's also something that, the Jets have uncertainties, with who they're going to be playing at the respective positions, and is Becton going to be good to go from week one? So, hey, Joe, do you know, this was my question that I was just throwing out there to the chat and stuff. Reiff,
Yep.
Has he played a decent amount of left and right tackle throughout his career? Does anyone know that?
I think for most of his career, he started at left tackle, but I think he had a full year of right tackle as well. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like he played more right tackle throughout his career, but I could be wrong about that.
You're wrong.
Okay. Well, glad to be wrong. But
good.
Yeah, so I was saying that, like, listen, if he's coming in, he probably realizes he's a backup at this point in his career. He comes from a good football program. I don't know what his injuries are like. I know his season was derailed because of injuries last year, but he played like a solid 12 games. They need tackle depth. That is for damn sure. So I fully support the signing. I just don't. I also do question if there's other guys out there that could be better options, but seems to be a solid option.
To preface the signing with that, I think that Kyle and I would both have to individually watch every tackle to see exactly who we prefer. Assuming that Reiff is one of the better options out there, I think it's imminent that they sign him because I think people almost overlook how important Moses was to the Jets last year. I think if you have another situation where whether it be 16 games, 5 games, 2 games, 3 games, 8 games, whatever it is, if Becton or Fant goes down, the Jets are really like fucked. Like it just is what it is. I like the potential of Max Mitchell, but year one, I'm not relying on that. So to me, depth offensive tackle, again, in a vacuum, I think that linebacker, D tackle, safety may be bigger needs at the overall position. But because of the importance to the offense and Zach Wilson, I think that backup offensive tackle is my number one need on the team right now. So Kyle, with that being said, Do you disagree in terms of the? In terms
Hey,
of
we just got another super chat while you were at the bathroom.
Okay, I'm gonna do that in a second. Which actually, I was gonna grab another drink and I forgot to grab another drink from the from the fridge. I had to go say hi to my dog, which you guys know about, so I forgot to grab a drink. But with that being said, position groups 1 through 5. Do you agree that tackle right now, again, considering all things, just not in a vacuum, that tackle is the number 1 need on the team? And then how would you rank yours 1 through 5? And I'm gonna be back in literally 2 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to say otherwise. I still don't know what Max Mitchell is. Still haven't been able to get his all 22 tape yet, so hope to get that soon. But even so, I mean, he's a rookie 4th round pick from Louisiana, Lafayette, I believe. So yeah, it's a huge need. You don't want Zach to be getting killed out there, and being that Fant ended the season injured, Becton, there's still the uncertainty with his injury. You have to have some tackle depth for sure. So I would say that's number 1. 2, probably linebacker. I think Joe agrees with that. I mean, CJ Mosley, and then what else you got there? Yeah, it's rough. Tight end before the offseason was a huge one, but that's obviously not anymore. Corner that's obviously not anymore either. Safety is a huge need. So that'd probably be 3. So here's what I said so far, Joe, in terms of ranking them. We said we agree that that's number 1. We probably agree that linebackers 2, right?
Yep.
Safety 3.
I would say run stuffing defensive tackle 3. Me personally.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and we keep throwing out the name Sheldon Richardson. Did he sign anywhere?
I haven't heard anything, no.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would say run stuffing defensive tackle before safety. It's just more important. You can't get killed. You cannot get killed in the run game.
So then you have safety 4, I'm assuming, obviously. So what would be your 5? I'm curious if the same 5 as me.
I was saying before how we were talking about how tight end is such a huge need, but it is no longer a need.
We don't need tight end 4.
Yeah. Are you? I'm curious to think if you're thinking of like special teams or something like that.
No.
It's. What are you thinking?
Mine would be wide receiver, a depth wide receiver.
Okay. Yeah. So weren't you tweeting out something earlier that you were talking about signing like a depth wide receiver? Did you float some names out there?
No names. I just think for me, obviously we have the top 3 or 4 that they have, but to me, Berrios was a 5 or a 6 last year. If one of Davis, Wilson, or Moore were to go down for, doesn't matter again, 1 to 3 to 5 to 6, 7 weeks, whatever it is, I am not comfortable with not only Berrios as the 3, but Mims or Jeff Smith as the 4. So last year we were kind of 5 or 6 deep last year. Like, again, we could debate all day about the individual talents in comparison to one another, but you had guys you were relatively happy with, right, Kyle? Like we had Davis, we had Crowder, we had Moore, we had Berrios, we had Cole. Like there's 5 guys we were cool with. Now, even though we may have taken that leap for, like, talent from Wilson to, obviously one of Berrios, or I mean not Berrios, Cole or Crowder, the 4 or the 5 are not as solidified as last year. Like I'm much more comfortable with let's say Cole Mims as the 4-5 than this year as the 4-5 being Berrios and Mims right now. So let's kind of
contextualize a little bit. So like, for example, like when you put out the Keelan Cole film review last year, like you were pretty giddy for what he could be at what he was expected to be. Like you're like, dude, if he's the 5th option on the Jets, what team in the league has a better 5th option than this? Now, granted, he was a little disappointed last year, but even so, like if he were on the team this year, we'd be like, okay, yeah, he's a solid. We'll take him as like a 4-ish or whatever. But after what we saw from Mims last year, it's like, like Keelan Cole was unquestionably better than Mims last year.
And we rolled into the year last year, Kyle, with like, okay, yeah, we had Keelan Cole and Crowder, and then we were sitting there also at that point like, fucking Mims, like Mims going second year, like he should be at least a 2 or a 3. Like let's go crazy here. And then obviously that completely failed. But continue.
Yeah, so they do need to I would like them to get somebody else. I mean, Jeff Smith, I literally have not been impressed with him as a receiver. Like I've always said, I want to see him do more end arounds and stuff. But again, that doesn't really justify him suiting up every week. Right? Like,
like 2-3 times a game, maybe.
Like, I'm not even sure. Like, I want the guy like making the roster. Like, he definitely has a legit shot to make the roster, but I'm not even sure that I want him to. And even so, like, is he going to dress up on Sundays? Like I want a guy who has like legit experience out there. So yeah, receiver at 5. Yeah, honestly, we could even, I think there's like a legit debate, whether or not the receiver could be like a bigger need than safety in terms of 4th or 5th option. But I probably would still put safety over. But you got me thinking ever since you brought it up though, because I'm just saying, like, if one of those guys goes down, like let's say Elijah Moore misses 4 games more this year, right? And we don't address the backup receiver position, then we're talking about who's Zach Wilson throwing to, and then we're talking about his development.
Andre Roberts.
So
Kyle, I want to read. We have two more topics here. Then we're going to get to the chat. I know there's plenty of other stuff going on too. Let's say. So Adam Parnes, again, I apologize for making this as long as I did. Adam, he asked me this question on May 24th. We're entering now on, was it June 10th? I don't know what it is. So Adam says, Joe, he compliments the Sauce review. He says, out of curiosity, obviously, I know you didn't get into the same depth with some of these guys, but how would you compare him to, in terms of Sauce, how would you compare Sauce to some of the other recent cornerbacks who came out? And he mentioned Surtain, Horn, Okudah, CJ Henderson, AJ Terrell, and even Denzel Ward. Loaded question, but just curious. So, Kyle, I want to throw that to you first. How would you compare Sauce Gardner to Surtain, Horn, Okudah, Henderson, Terrell, and even Denzel Ward? Like, let's say in a draft class where they're kind of all bunched together. Like, do you think Sauce is still a top 5, top 10 pick, or
all of them are in the same draft class?
Well, there'd be 6 corners in the top 10, but you know what I mean. Like, how did he stack up to those guys?
Oh shit. It's always tough. Like, so being that neither of us are draft guys per se, whereas like the draft guys out there, they might watch hundreds of prospects any given year because that's literally like their full-time job.
I think they watch like 2 games each prospect, to be honest.
True, fair. But, it's still different. Like, if I'm the Jets and I know that we're going to draft Zach Wilson or draft a quarterback at 2, I'm not going to go watch J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain's film because there's no shot that the Jets are going to draft those guys. I mean, again, I might watch a little bit here or there in passing, like if I'm evaluating some other player or something like that. Would Sauce stack up and be higher than some of these guys? It's definitely a good question. So Horn went before Surtain last year, although I feel like I was always more impressed with Surtain. And by the way, I like Surtain's father. I like Surtain's father too. He was a good player for the Dolphins. Granted that father.
I like Art Snell as well, but Brandon Shell didn't necessarily work out.
You said Snell. You said Snell first. Sorry. So you fucked up the dunk. You fucked up the dunk that time.
No, Alley-oop.
Okay. Terrell. What college did Terrell go to? AJ Terrell. By the way, he had a really good year last year.
Was it Clemson? Or am I wrong?
Was it Clemson?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Someone put it. So what was the other names? AJ Terrell.
So to me, so you have Surtain, Horn, Okudah, Henderson. To me, again, I think that Okudah probably is above all those other guys. Surtain. So to me, probably, again, just talking about prospect and being, obviously there's people like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. Look at how these guys panned out, all this stuff. At the time of the draft, I would probably put like Okudah 1, Surtain 2, Sauce 3. At the time of the draft, I think I put him above Horn, Henderson, Terrell, and Denzel Ward. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I feel like I'm being biased as hell, but like I feel like I almost like Sauce better than all of them. Okay.
What did I say? What did I say with Terrell? Did I say Clemson or say Auburn?
You said Clemson. Yes, you got it
right.
right.
I said Clemson? Okay, cool.
I just feel like Sauce has like an aspect to his game that these other guys just don't have. Like Okuda's like he's definitely on the smaller side and stuff, but I mean like Sauce, he's a good athlete and he's also just so long and tall. And it's just so rare. You just don't like again, like people like Sherman and Cromartie, but I think he's a better
He's a
like
better
he's
athlete.
more he's more fluid shifting his hips than Cromartie. He's definitely faster than Sherman. So like I mean, like this dude could be really special. And like you look at like Okuda, and a lot of people say like part of the reason he went so early at 2 was he was a perfect scheme for what Matt Patricia wants to do. Like follow like James Light on Twitter. And he would say like, you know, like the way that the Pats like to play their corners, Okuda is like a really good scheme fit. So he's definitely probably going to be the pick at 2. But in terms of like raw skill set, I don't think that Okuda is better than Sauce.
I don't know. I would agree with that. I think out of that group, it's again, it's hard to kind of quantify it because we have to watch all those guys individually. But I think he's in the top 3 of that group. So Adam, I don't want you like. I think with this question, you're kind of thinking like that maybe in a weaker draft class that Sauce is pushed up so high, but I wouldn't think like that. You know, that's pretty much my overarching kind of message to this question would be don't overlook Sauce. Like he is either with those guys or even better than a lot of those guys. Like Sauce is legit. And Kyle knows I am a dickhead in terms of corner evaluation. I just say I'm an asshole. So I like Sauce a lot. Hopefully that means that you have faith in me to also like the corner as well. So Corey Washington asked, I want to live in a world where Elijah Moore, and this is, again, super chat, so I'm going to highlight it. I want to live in a world where Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson are the top receiver duo in the league. I wonder if we will be too run heavy to do that. Kyle, I'm going to throw it to you. And obviously, we appreciate the super chat, Corey.
Top wide receiver duo in the league. Is he like talking in terms of stats? It would be fun to light up the stats books and have like, you know, everyone bragging about how they have the Jets receivers on their fantasy teams and the Jets receivers are winning them their fantasy league. That would be a cool world to live in because that is certainly a world that we are not familiar with at all. So it would be cool if the Jets will be too run heavy to do that. I mean, like, I think it makes sense for the Jets to be a little bit and when we say run heavy, it doesn't mean run more than pass. I mean, I think it's kind of stupid at this point in the NFL to be running more than passing. You know, game plan specific weeks and injuries, you know, you kind of adjust your game plan, especially time of the year or weather conditions, all that kind of stuff. But it makes more sense to pass than run. But listen, you still do have a quarterback who's in his second year, who's still learning the game. And you know, 2 of your wide receivers are still very young. So it doesn't make sense to, you know, be throwing the ball all over the yard yet unless Zach Wilson just took an enormous leap this year. And, you know, we're expecting Breece Hall to be a legit running back. And we already know that Michael Carter is a legit running back. So it makes sense to have a heavy dose of run. And even like, you know, the Jets, just in terms of the offensive line personnel, they're built to run, right? Like Becton is really good in the run, certainly better than he was in pass pro. AVT is good against the run, right? Laken Tomlinson. So, you know, it makes sense for the Jets to run a lot. So, I mean, in terms of stats, yeah, I don't know that we're maybe ever going to see that, but
who's the top receiver duo in the league right now? Like 1-2 punch.
1-2 punch.
My first thought is the Bucks with Godwin and Evans, right? I'm trying to think of like who tops that.
That's a really good one, but I feel like Godwin's stats kind of went on the decline last year.
NFL teams. And I'm gonna Kyle. Look, I think
the way I'll tell you this, the way that Gabe Davis finished this season and the way that the Bills talk him up. I mean, listen, Hill and Waddle down in Miami. No. Hill and Waddle down in Miami.
So let's see.
The problem with them is they got Tua throwing the ball.
So right now, yeah. Well, so Kyle, let's. I think we're gonna both put. We both think we should probably push this off to next week. I had the next topic as expectations of the 2020 class. Let's push that off until the next show because we could talk about that for probably an hour. So we're gonna push the topic off and we're gonna get into this and we're gonna get into the chat as well. But Stop me when you think of a better duo at wide receiver. Cardinals, again, the Bucs are the number one right now. Cardinals, no. Ravens, no. Falcons, no. Bills, no. Let's be honest.
No, Gabe Davis, he still needs to take a step up.
Panthers, no. Bengals, Higgins and Chase, I would say they have to prove it more, right? Bears, no. Browns, no. Cowboys, no. Broncos, no.
Dude, Chase is already really awesome. I feel like T. Higgins is a little bit overrated, to be honest.
I agree. So Lions, no. Texans, no. Packers, obviously not. Colts, no. Rams, no. Jaguars, no. Vikings, Thielen a couple of years ago, sure, not now. Chiefs, no. Saints, no. Raiders, no. Giants, no. Chargers, no. Eagles, no. Dolphins.
Well, hold on. Eagles with Devonta Smith, if he takes a big step up, and I mean, like
you just said if.
Okay, but Devonta still. Can we say that Elijah Moore had a better rookie season than Devonta Smith? And AJ Brown is certainly, he's proven more than Garrett Wilson has at this point in their career. So,
but still, I'm not going to take them over the Bucs right now.
Okay.
Dolphins, Waddle and Hill over Godwin and Evans. I'm taking Godwin and Evans over Waddle and Hill.
I'm not. No way.
Okay, so we have a 1 and 2. The Dolphins are your 1. I have them as my 2. Niners, no. Pats, no. Seahawks, no. But I get it. Jets, no. Steelers, no. Commanders, no. Okay, so I would say the top 2 in the league right now: Dolphins and the Bucs, right? So
yeah, in terms of a 1-2 punch, but again, there's so much that comes in a receiving core, and now you're talking. There's so much 11 personnel that goes throughout the league that you really want to have at least 3 legit pass catching options as receivers.
And Corey, to this point, I think that for the Jets to have one of those, like whatever, whether it be Wilson as a top rookie receiver or Moore being like that top 15 to 10 receiver, whatever it is, I do think that whoever it is, the running game and the tight end usage will prohibit them in terms of reaching their statistical ceiling, if that makes sense. So West Coast Jets, and then we're going to move on to past that, Kyle. Again, expectations of the 2020 class. We'll talk about that at a different time. It's too big of a topic. So West Coast says, watch your Hall review. You point out his light leg use. Kyle, is anybody in here, 111 people, going to know what light leg usage means past the people who watch the actual review? Probably not.
Hey, we got a super chat. That might warrant pulling up a play because it's a super chat.
After watching, he doesn't just use it. He sets guys up with it, puts it out there like bait. So the thing with his light leg is and in terms of like he sets guys up with it, he's very smart in terms of his footwork. And we highlight this in the review in terms of knowing when he's going to be coming into that contact window, when to throw that light leg out there. Like, does that make sense, Kyle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he'll shorten his stride to make that light leg where it needs to be when he's passing that guy's horizontal alignment to said player. So
he definitely is a very smart runner and has good vision.
Is there a play you can think of light leg that I brought up? I don't really remember. It's a lot of plays. It's a lot of different plays I bring up a light leg, but
yeah, it would be hard for me to think unless you like labeled it that way where you could just find it. Okay, then don't worry about it then.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm like looking through plays right now.
But thank you, West Coast Jets, for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if I thanked the previous one as well, which was like Corey Washington. Thank you, Corey.
We are going to talk about the 2020 class at a different time. So I am like 2 hours behind the chat. If your chat did not stand out, I'm not going to bring it up. I'm sorry. I just can't. But I'm going to run through the chat right now. And again, Kyle, next stream, we're going to open up right away. 2020 class, what are expectations of that class? What would save that class? What would make that a failure? Whatever. So happy thinking brought up a Richard Sherman interview with Sauce. I brought it up a couple of weeks ago. Very good interview with Sherman and Sauce. Kyle, I'm sure you watched that as well, right? So
good. Yeah. Hey, we just got another super chat.
Damn it. Okay, hold on. Scrolling all the way back. 20 Lee. If you had to put money on it, next Jets player to hit 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yard receiving, and double-digit sacks. And do any players do it this year? So, Tony, I'm taking this question as if I had to bet on one player hitting 1,000-yard rushing, 1,000-yard receivers, or double-digit sacks, like if I had to take one guy to do either one of those three, who would I take? And do any do it this year? Like I don't know if I'm reading that wrong, Kyle, but how do you
I
take?
think you read it right. So if I'm answering this question, I would say that the next Jets player to hit 1,000 yards rushing is going to be Breece Hall. The next Jets player to hit 1,000 yards receiving is going to be Elijah Moore.
Yep.
The next Jets player to hit double-digit sacks would be Carl Lawson, but geez, health is the concern there.
I think I would put both the receiving and the rushing above the sacks.
I agree. And
okay,
it's not for lack of ability with Lawson. And would I be betting on any of them to do it this year? I would not take the Lawson bet. Definitely not.
It's injury and rotation with Lawson. So that's your three. Who was your two and who's your one in terms of your bets on to do it this year?
I would bet Elijah getting 1,000 receiving before Breece with 1,000 rushing.
Spicy. It's so hard, like in terms of like how much they're going to really rely on like that 12 personnel running game versus like how much they're actually going to pass. But man, what was Michael Carter at like last year? Like what was he projected to be at before the injury? Like if you extrapolate his entire season, like what was his numbers going to be at? I don't know, but I don't
think he would have hit 1,000, but he definitely had a couple really impressive games where he was.
I think I agree with you, Kyle. I think Elijah Moore getting 1,000 yards receiving is probably the most likely, and then Breece at 1,000 rushing would be the second most likely. But would you bet, gun to your head right now, $100, $200 on the line, whatever it is, that Elijah Moore gets 1,000 yards receiving?
Well, what's the odds that I'm getting?
Even. I don't know. It's even.
Oh God.
100 to win 100, 200 to win 200, or whatever it is.
Geez, that's tough, man. Gun to my head, and I have to make the bet one way or the other.
You're gonna die if you don't make it right.
I would bet yes, just because it would give me all the more reason to root for my team, and I do genuinely believe in the kid. So yes, I would say yes. But geez,
please don't fucking die. Please get the catch, please. Yeah, to me, and this is more. I don't know if it's heart, head, whatever it is, fat tires. I would probably say no. Like I think there is so much talent on this offense between, obviously I name all the guys, Hall and Carter and Conklin, all these guys, that nobody reaches 1,000 yards, but everybody's like floating up near that 700, 800, 900 yard mark between, Conklin and Hall and Moore, that no guy gets that one target share enough to get.
Dude, if they're spreading the ball around that much and you have that many guys who have like 700 plus yards, that's a really good position to be in.
Well, Kyle, how many guys on this offense would you expect to be over like 500 yards?
Good question. I don't expect Uzomah to be over 500 yards. Truthfully, I don't even expect Conklin to be over 500 yards either.
With the split, that is definitely.
Yeah, no tight ends. I don't expect any of the tight ends to be over there, but I do expect all three of the top three receivers to be over 500. So yeah,
I'd also almost expect Breece Hall and Michael Carter to both be over.
Oh, okay, but I was just thinking strictly receiving. Yeah, my bad. Oh yeah, both of them in terms of rushing, yes.
I'm talking about all the targets together, and like if you don't necessarily predict Conklin to be over 500 yards, like he's floating right around there because Conklin he's good. Like people, I think people overlook Conklin a little bit. So
yeah, I mean, like even like Uzomah in that vaunted Bengals offense last year had like 490 something or whatever. So
I didn't look at usage of Uzomah with the Bengals, though, to be completely honest. Like how many times was he just running like a hitch route on the backside of a 3x1 where he wasn't really an option? So I don't think they necessarily use him.
Yeah, or that, or like he's on the backside in like a 3x1 and he's just running a vertical route. It's like you're gonna throw it to Uzomah on a vertical. I mean, like, what team's gonna, like, okay, even if you're not, you're just using him as a decoy. What team is on? Okay, let's say you have a corner on the backside and they're like sitting covered too. Like, if I'm the corner, I'm just gonna be worried about the flat. I'm not worried about Uzomah taking me over the top and beating me. Like, yeah, I agree that the usage wasn't the best.
Yeah. So again, we're gonna push the 2020 expectations onto next week or 2 weeks from now. So I'm going to move through 2 hours of chats really, really quick, Kyle. And if your chat didn't stand out, then you suck. I'm sorry. Johnny Reiff, do you think the Jets will predominantly play a 4-2-5 defense? Comment with you. I'll go through the chats.
Yes. I don't think we need to elaborate really.
That's fine.
Salah loves 4-down linemen. I mean, he just does.
Pirlo's legend. Joe, any updates on the Pick'em or Fantasy League I want in? So last year we did, was it 18 players in a Fantasy League, right, Kyle? I think 18.
Yeah, it was way too much.
I think, and I haven't solidified any of this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the bottom 6 and then add 4. We're going to be at 16. And then past that year, I'm going to cut the bottom 6, add 2, and we're going to be a 12-person league. I think that's probably what I'm going to do, but Pirlo. So what's going to happen for those bottom 6, 8 guys? What I'm going to do is you're going to get cut. There's going to be a day where I'm going to say, hey, you're cut. And then there's going to be a month where I'm going to announce, hey, this day, it's going to be not June. It's going to be July 23rd. Registration is open for the JetX Fantasy League or Pick'em. You jump in. The first people to email me, you're going to be in the league. But past that, Pirlo, you're going to have to be just really, really on point in terms of listening to the stream, because I'm going to announce it, and then it's going to get filled up really soon. If you don't jump in there, then you're not going to be in there. So stay tuned, Pirlo. It's going to be soon. But you have a chance to get in there for sure. So let's see. Head back, Kyle, while I keep scrolling through the chat so you can read that.
Okay, so Hawk says, I know it's all coach's dream to be a head coach in the NFL, but I've never heard Mike LaFleur say he was interested in being a head coach. If the team does well this year, he might want to stay. I think that most guys, when they have a legit shot to get a head coaching job, I think they usually take it, unless it's kind of a bad situation. I know that Josh McDaniels, after he failed in Denver, he had a couple chances for head coaching jobs afterwards, and he kept choosing to stay with the Patriots. He could have even coached Andrew Luck, and he chose not to take that job. But I think it's kind of a rarity, and I think most guys would jump at the bit to get a head coaching job. And I don't think he needs to say that. I mean, why is that a smart thing for him to say that? I mean, he hasn't really proven much. He was an offensive coordinator for 1 year, and he was on a team that didn't have really a great offense. So he's going to talk about it. That sounds really arrogant and stuff to be talking about that. Let your coaching talk for itself.
So Flash Aussie Gordon from Panama mentions potential to have 6 new starters on either side of the ball versus 2021. D, Lawson, Johnson, Whitehead, Sauce, Reed, Martin, Curry. I would say 5 on defense, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. I don't know if I am. And then on offense, you have Tomlinson, Conklin. That's 2 easily. Breece Hall, Becton. Well, Uzomah's not going to be a starter per se. Wilson. So I would say 5 on offense, 5 on defense, right? In terms of however you quantify starter reps, which is obviously a big change.
Yeah, definitely a huge change. There's no doubt that this Jets team should be significantly better. All right. So
Better Call Saul, in my opinion, this will be a growing year for Jermaine Johnson. He's not going to do much. I don't see him making any type of impact besides setting the edge and learning the pass rushing moves. Kyle, thoughts?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. But if we see a couple highlight sacks, then that will be a good sign for things to come. So we'll see.
Flash. I mentioned this when we were talking about him in terms of kind of Robert Saleh, like watering down the comments that Ulbrich made, where Ulbrich was really strict, 30 to 35 reps. That's all we're doing. And then Saleh kind of came out and was like, we want them at pass rush reps and all these different formulas and all this stuff. And we're kind of confused. But Dwayne Wade, our wise, I said Dwayne Wade, said Eddie Royal. I think that's the receiver you're talking about.
Yep.
Receiver, or Revis jamming up. So let's see.
So apparently other people remembered it too.
Speaking of Jets, did you guys see the new
was Eddie Royal Virginia Tech?
I'm not gonna lie. I would lie if I told you anything different. I have no idea.
I think he was.
So Hawks mentioning Top Gun, holy shitballs. Saw a couple days ago, and I'm still buzzing. Dude, there's so many shows coming out right now. Like there's Stranger Things, there's Top Gun, there's Peaky Blinders, there is House of Dragons, there is the new Lord of the Rings show. There are so many shows out there. But Kyle, did you watch the new Top Gun? Because
I thought the first one sucked. I watched the first one for the first time last year, and I thought it sucked. So
I think it's more of like a nostalgia movie than like an actual good movie, to be completely honest. But
I'll tell you this: they wanted to make a sequel for Top Gun, like not too many years after the first one came out. But then there was that whole Tallyhoot scandal thing in 1991, where like a bunch of there was like a big sexual scandal with like Navy officers or whatever. So then they had to like delay it for like 2 decades after that, making the reboot.
Yeah, I like what Top Gun came out in like the 80s, right?
86, 3 years before I was born. Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched it. It was more like in like passing. I really like watch it. But I want to watch Top Gun again. The Boys. Kyle, do you watch The Boys?
No.
Really?
No, I've been watching Ozark lately.
So I finished Ozark. So if I had a recommendation of all the shows coming out right now, I would probably say The Boys, Stranger Things, and Peaky Blinders are my top 3.
I know you don't watch cop shows, but I also watched that show, The Shield, before that.
I hate it.
I know.
Did you watch any of the 3 I said though? But Peaky Blinders, Stranger Things.
No, I you told me about that. You said it's really hard to hear them, so you got to turn up the volume all the way.
Peaky Blinders, they have such a heavy English accent that if you don't turn up or if you don't throw on like the subtitles, you cannot hear what they say at all. So yeah, Peaky's out there. The Boys, Stranger Things are probably my top 3. You have which you're gonna watch, right, Kyle? The House of Dragons.
So that's like the Game of Thrones, like
it's prequel. It's the prequel to Game of Thrones. So it's before Game of Thrones happened.
I guess I have to.
And then did you ever watch Lord of the Rings too, or no?
I did watch the 3 Lord of the Rings films, yes.
Okay, so they're making a TV series about Lord of the Rings as well. So you're gonna have to watch that. Okay. Did you watch The Hobbit? Did you watch The Hobbit or no?
No, I did not.
The prequel to Lord of the Rings? No.
I got to be honest, I didn't find it that interesting. The Lord of the Rings movies. I think it was very interesting cinema, especially they came out in the early 2000s. So like, the cinematic effects and stuff was, I think, really good for the time, but I don't know. I guess it's just not my cup of tea.
There are people who suck and there are people who don't suck. Kyle Smith sucks. It's okay. It's fine. It's good.
Hey, while you're watching all these shows and stuff, I'm reading like history books and stuff. So, just certain things, we have to balance the time.
Mo Lewis was a great Jet till he hurt Drew. Again, with Mo Lewis, you hear that talked about a lot in terms of like his career arc and Hall of Fame arc. At the end of the day, if the Jets right now were to hurt any quarterback and put their backup in, we'd all be happy the backup is in. So did the Pats know that Brady was named Brady? Did Mo Lewis know that Brady was named Brady? No. So who cares? David Harris had a ton of clutch, memorable moments. That's why fans love him. I remember the Pats pick in the divisional championship game.
I was going nuts, man.
I remember the Bears game where he didn't. It was the Mario Davis who forced a fumble, and then he scooped and scored for a touchdown, or it was vice versa. It was David Harris forced a fumble, Mario Davis ran in for the touchdown. But
about 2014 when we played.
Oh, you froze a little. You froze a little bit, Kyle. But it was
the Bears on like Monday
Night Football at MetLife. Demario Davis or David Harris sacked the quarterback, and then they blew it dead. And they actually wasn't a fumble, and they ran in for a touchdown. And they said, "No, you get the ball at the 40-yard line, whatever it was." And we didn't bring it in for a touchdoff. Yeah.
I remember that was Geno Smith's second year.
Kyle,
27-19. Oh yeah, Hoof.
Was here. Hey, fellas, long time no see. I have been watching all you guys all year, just not live, just saying hello. Hoof was at the tailgate, Kyle, and you were not there. So,
which game was that?
Hoof. What game did he go to?
By the way, being that I'm going week 1, are we getting tickets by each other? seats by each other?
Yeah. If you want, I know a lot of guys are doing like the jet lounge and all that stuff. I'm not as committed to sitting with everybody. I would be committed to seeing you guys pregame because sitting is a different story. But yeah, Kyle,
Joe gets very moody during games. Very, very moody. And and I'll say this too, he has a very short fuse when it comes to idiot Jets fans saying nonsensical stuff. I remember like there was some jagoff sitting behind us and he was talking about like fantasy stats and this and that. And Joe's just like rolling his eyes and trying to bite his tongue.
I have problems at games when I'm intoxicated. That is, Kyle. You weren't there in Carolina. The whole porta potty situation. You think anything was bad from Carolina? The porta potty situation was very, very bad after that. That almost ended in a very.
I heard about it.
Situation. I heard about it. That was not fun. So let's. It was fun. It's just some guys they think they have bigger chests around their girlfriend. That's all we'll say. Guys think they're a lot more strong around their wives. So, Blewett, you fuck. What's the good, man? Steven Engel. Again, keep moving through this. So, see if there's anything that really stands out. Ashton Davis can't tackle from Consensus Ego. He can't tackle. He can't do a lot of things, but hopefully.
Yeah.
So, Kyle.
He can hurdle. He can hurdle track stuff.
Yes. The one time in that kickoff, he tried to do it and he completely failed. So, Kyle, top four. If I'm assuming if you had to predict the Jets roster right now, you'd have four safeties. Right. If you had to predict the Jets four safeties, who would they be? And again, I broke the seal, so I'm struggling. So you talk about the safeties, the four that are going to make it, and then I will be back in a second.
Okay. Well, Joyner, he's going to make it. Let me just pull up the roster and actually look at it. Let's see. Jets, our lads, depth chart. While I pull that up, I'll try to look at some of the. Blewett must be drinking a lot, man. He kind of sounds like he's been drinking a lot too. Let's see. I should actually be using the Jets X Factor depth chart. I guess I'm just not used to pulling that up yet. All right. So let's see. Safeties. Yeah, I say Joyner, Whitehead. They're obvious unless Joyner gets hurt again. I do think Davis is going to make it. Elijah Riley, there were times when he flashed last year. I almost want to say Will Parks, I feel like has more potential out there than Elijah Riley. So I'm going to go with Parks, Davis, Whitehead, and Joyner. All right.
What were you for?
Okay, so you just came back. I said Joyner, Whitehead, Parks, and Ashton Davis.
So I really think that fourth spot is between Ashton Davis and Elijah Riley. Like that's where I think it falls right now. I think that maybe if Pinnock was to make the team, it's as a safety, and he's like a dark horse guy. But even like we look at corner, Kyle, and we're gonna do like our 53-man roster prediction soon. Like I think really it's like Pinnock, Hardy, Isaiah Dunn, like fighting for that sixth spot. So where does Pinnock fall in terms of safety versus corner? Does he offer that versatility? So maybe he makes a team who provides some value on special teams. I don't know. So
but like I mean, like you said, it seems like they're full on transitioning him into the safety role, and I'm trying to think like at what points did they play him at corner last year? And if they did, it couldn't have been late in the season. Like I don't remember him playing any corner at all late in the season, and even early in the season, I'm struggling to think of moments where he did.
At corner? No,
I should probably go turn the light on. Give me one moment. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go turn the light on.
It's fine. The Reeves debate
be like you with my head floating in space.
The Reeves debate is always peak versus longevity, or if it's Sanders, you have to include his return ability. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Swolesy is more that Sanders was more of a playmaker in terms of picking the ball off, punt returns, kick returns, whatever it was. And Reeves, you have to factor in the longevity of his peak. So to me, and I'll ask Kyle, I think if you factor in like longevity and all that stuff, Sanders is probably number one. But in terms of peak level, like the peak play, okay, you have Reeves in his absolute prime versus Sanders versus Bailey versus Woodson versus whoever it is. one play to win one rep, their absolute prime, I'm taking Revis over any corner in NFL history. Kyle, I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. But all those other guys you mentioned had longer careers where they were at like the top of their game.
No, they had more of a sustained stretch of excellence, but Revis prime, Sanders prime, Woodson prime, Bailey prime, any one of those guys, one-on-one versus whoever. I think Revis is the best corner of all time at his peak. I really do.
Yeah, and that 2009 season is like really like the gold standard for cornerbacks, right? Like everyone just keeps talking about it, right? Nobody has come close to since, right? I mean, and it's just like, like Sherman had some great years at corner and stuff, but nobody did what Revis did. I mean, like, okay, Calvin Johnson was 2010 when Revis was guarding him, but okay. T.O. was still a great player at the time. Randy Moss, great player at the time. Steve Smith, Carolina. Chad Johnson, who was arguably the best receiver in the league at the time. Revis, okay. Wherever you put him, I'm going to line up with him. And it was like every game where he was doing that with the top receivers. I mean, this is you just don't see that.
Yeah, he's an absolute savage. Minus what was it, Stevie Johnson? Who burned him up a little bit that year. But other than that, it was
Stevie Johnson got a couple times, especially 2011 game at MetLife Stadium. Stevie Johnson, that was probably the worst when Revis was still good, where I saw him get beat bad. I mean, like when Revis was, washed up, we saw him specifically Terrell Pryor. Remember Terrell Pryor cooking Revis in Cleveland? That was bad. Yeah, man. That was bad. But 2011 Revis was still obviously good. But Stevie Johnson really got the best of him on that day.
By the way, because there's going to be that one douche in the comments who's like, dude, you're drinking White Claws. I ran out of fat tires, so I'm drinking White Claws. I apologize. But Snickers the Boots says, I get it, Mims was sick, but he 100% should have had a better mental grasp being out. Listen, I get the sick. I get all the excuses for Mims. But at the end of the day, a lot of what his 2021 was, or what a lot of his 2021 was excuses, Kyle. Like at a certain point, enough of the bullshit excuses. It's a lot of bullshit. It really is. I'm sorry for being really like upfront with that, but stop with the woe is me, sick. More guys.
He was healthy enough. He was healthy enough to suit up.
Right? It's a lot of listen. It's a lot of like pussyfooting bullshit around his situation. Step the fuck up. Like that's my opinion. Like again, couple deep. That's maybe more of my opinion than it would have been 2 hours ago, but. At a certain point, dude, like just stop with the bullshit. That's kind of how I feel about it. So, let's see. Fant literally said he and the Jets have a contract talks. Yep, $14-15 million. Hopefully, it's about that. Barrios is the Jets' Edelman. Kyle,
I wish.
Let's keep going. Absolute Joe.
Julian Edelman. He had kind of long arms for his size. Julian Edelman, like, okay, so in one way that they're pretty similar, Julian Edelman was a good returner, good punt returner, very good. And I think Barrios is a good punt returner and pretty good kick returner as well. So I'll give him that, but Barrios has a long ways to go as a receiver. And in terms of like Jules' ability to like break tackles and stuff, you don't really see that with Barrios. So
Kyle, I don't know if you take this any differently than I do, but for which type of player would you break the bank for? Was this? I don't know if he was asking. I don't know if Carl was asking in terms of this point of the year or in terms of like guys we'd sign. Because I think we're talking about like Q and JFM at this point, and maybe Fant. Like which of a player would we break the bank for? I think it's obviously probably what quarterback, tackle, edge rusher.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of guys, our own guys that we're looking to sign internally, I was certainly very comfortable with the contract number that you mentioned for Fant, and I would even go a little bit above that. But I'm not breaking the bank for Quinnen Williams, not yet. Especially look, I really don't see what the excuse is for Quinnen Williams. He was playing on a reduced snap count last year, right?
He was getting double teamed the entire year. He doesn't have enough players around him, bro.
Aaron Donald gets teamed all the time, man.
I'm one of the biggest, like in terms of guys who need a reason to support Q. I'm probably one of the biggest ones out there. But the whole double team bullshit, it's bullshit at this point. Like you need to produce double team, triple team, single team, whatever it is, you got to produce more than he's been producing. And I get that he had a reduced snap percentage last year, but he didn't have those dominant games that he did in his sophomore year. So
yeah. And by the way, I noticed that. So Harold has recently.
You have a very sinister smile on your face right now, Kyle. So go.
Because you know why? Because Harold was not in this chat earlier, and Harold always gets on me for my supposed alleged hatred of Quinnen Williams. But all I'm saying is, and if you listen to the earlier part of the stream, Harold, Joe and I briefly mentioned our top 25 lists from last year, and we were talking about the top 3 players that we had. And I said, Joe, guess who my number 1 was? And he guessed a couple players, and he didn't guess the correct guy. And I said it was Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams in early September. It was early September last year that we did our top 25 list, Joe. I had Quinnen Williams ranked as the number 1 player. So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying he was a huge disappointment last year. There's just no two ways about it.
More of a credit to Quinnen Williams, or more of a discredit to the Jets roster?
I would say Quinnen. I mean, listen, the coaching staff is definitely to blame too, but I mean,
yeah, I'm really excited to do that top 25, Kyle, which we're going to include rookies, right? So,
we have to, yeah, of course.
With our expectations of rookies. So,
Joe, after this rookie class, man, which is the talk of the town, come on, how could we not?
Let's see. I think Happy Tanking was asking about the Jets' all-time effort team or something like that.
Effort team.
Effort team. Like who are the most gritty Jets of the last decade or two? Kyle?
Oh, Kotry's got to be on there, right? That Cleveland,
the
groin.
Browns, yep, the Browns famous play, the Pats famous play with rolls on the guy's back. I think honestly, Kyle,
Tony Richardson definitely is on there.
Sue me, but I'll give you 3 guesses. A guy I thought at the top of my head in terms of effort players for the Jets over the last 2 years or 2 decades. Sorry.
Effort players for the Jets over the last 2 decades that came to your mind.
I'm sure there's some random defensive lineman like Mike Pennell who's in there if we actually watched, but one of the more favorite Jets who's an effort player than maybe people think.
Can you give me any hint? Because there's a lot of players if we're talking 2 decades.
Offense?
Are you thinking about Bilal Powell?
Bilal Powell. Yep, exactly, dude. The guy never stopped turning those legs. I loved it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you got that so quick. And the fact that you got that so quick is a credit to Bilal Powell. It really is. He's I think like if he was behind a offensive line that's legitimately good, like if he went to a situation where he was legitimately number 1 behind a good offensive line, I think Bilal Powell could have been a lot more than what he was for the Jets. Like people kind
of if he stayed a little bit healthier too.
Yeah, people discredit Powell for what he was, but he was a good Jet, man. He never stopped grinding. So you were correct.
What did they bring him in for recently? Remind me what that was for again? They brought him into the facility. Oh, to retire as a Jet, or what was it exactly? I think he signed a 1-year contract as a Jet to retire, but I forget, to be completely honest. Lloyd Gross, I think it's when I was in the bathroom. Ronnie's Blitz featuring Joey B. Fire me up, fellas. Kyle, I think there's a legitimate like movement out there to have Ronnie's Blitz at least once a week, doing your own live stream. Yeah, I did see we did get some nice comments, although people were saying, there was one guy who was saying I have too many ums, but he's right though. Do have too many ums.
Too many ums. I sniffle too much. I talk. I would say the most major criticism I get, which I completely understand, is that I talk too fast. But listen, can you imagine how long a 2-hour or a 3-hour review would be if I talk slow? I gotta talk fast.
There's a lot of stuff you gotta say.
There's a lot. Are we still at 666? Kyle, are we still at 666?
Let me check. Yeah,
I hope we're not still at 666. We only need 10 more subscribers in an episode, which isn't that bad.
Yeah, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please do. Yeah, we're still at 666.
666. That is
87 people watching now.
I think Green Bean has Mike Westhoff right now, and I think there's another live stream right now as well. So I appreciate the 80 people who are in here.
So is Mike Westhoff doing interviews and stuff now? Is he active?
He is doing the rounds with literally every single person who would take me for an interview.
I knew you were going to bring this damn comment up. I knew it.
What? You just got a regular shirt. So
yeah, it's my Jet X shirt. Listen, listen.
My thought on that, Kyle, is that the fact that you thought today, like, hey, we're going on the live stream. I'll put it on to be nice, but my thought with that shirt,
I put it on specifically for the stream.
I thought with that shirt being so wrinkled as it is that shirt is at the bottom of your pile. You don't wear that shirt. It's at the bottom of your drawer. You don't wear that ever.
It's been a while. You know,
Okay.
I thought about wearing it to work one day, but then I didn't.
Yeah, so AKA you were.
But I've worn Jet stuff to work before, and the kids always try to make fun of me.
No, it's a pity party. Who's your boy? Ant Prodigy, right? He should be in here, right?
Oh yeah, he. By the way, he's next to get his ass whooped in basketball. We played 3 more boys, and we whooped their ass.
Are you sure you could beat him up though? Because he's not a 6th grade girl.
There was no girls. It was all boys who were talking shit for months.
So we have a comment here. Jason W said Bengals have 3 great wide receivers. Bengals, and then we have a comment.
Great might be a stretch. Who's going to call a Boyd a great receiver?
Bengals don't have 3 great receivers. While I agree with Dakota in terms of they don't have 3 great wide receivers, is there a much better 3rd wide receiver in the league you can think of than Boyd?
Probably not.
We don't really go through the receivers, but in terms of 3,
that's
Boyd
probably in terms of all right. So the scenario that someone else mentioned before was like, who's the top duo? But like in terms of a trio, that's probably the best trio in the league, probably.
Stop me, Kyle, when you hear a better one, right? So Cardinals no, Ravens no.
Brian Turner said that he put us to 667 subscribers.
Really? Look at that.
That's what he
I
said.
appreciate you, Brian Turner. So you stop me, Kyle, when you hear a better trio than the Bengals. Cardinals, Ravens, Falcons, Bills, Panthers, Bears, Browns, Cowboys, Broncos, Lions.
The Cowboys, when they had Amari, that was in question for sure.
Well, when they had Broncos, you have Judy, you have Patrick, and you have Sutton, maybe. Lions, Texans, Packers, Colts, Rams, Jags, Vikings, Chiefs, Saints, Raiders, Giants, Chargers, Eagles, Dolphins, Niners, Pats, Seahawks, Bucks, Steelers, Commanders, Titans. To be honest, top of my head, I would say the Bengals probably have the best top 3 in the league right now. So let's keep moving through, Kyle. We're at 8:13. Got moving through quick.
And dude, at the end of this year, at the end of this upcoming season, I wouldn't be shocked if we're saying Chase is the best receiver in the league.
I have to compute that a little bit. I do. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving on. Where are we at? Something got fucked up here.
We got a $10 super chat from Justin.
So we're not okay. Hold on. 8:10. Okay, 8:10. Justin says, "Can't wait for the Garrett Wilson breakdown. Anything new stand out to you on the more detailed breakdown? Thanks for the stream." I can tell you that I recorded all of Garrett Wilson's film. I will be doing that review again with a guy who played the NFL for 11 years, so you should know it's not bullshit. Marcus Coleman is one of those guys to call you out on if you're saying the wrong thing, and I will take the lead on plenty of the review. So we'll see if he calls me out on any of my bullshit, but I don't think he will because I'm pretty locked in with the corners and receivers. If I had one thing to glow up about, I will say the receivers and corners. So did anything else stand out to me from Garrett Wilson? I think he emphasized his explosive route running even more than in the past, but I kind of already knew that about him. But I would say through the next 5 or 6 games, for me, for the most part, he pretty much extrapolated what I saw over those 4 or 5 games I watched him into the next 6, 7, 8 games. So I don't think anything changed. I think Garrett Wilson has a very high ceiling, but I think people, and I hear this a lot in terms of like talking about the Jets offense and how they're going to use Wilson. I think to use him as a starting outside receiver, which I think is a little bit less reduced in the Jets system because of how much they use, those monster splits, tight splits, quads, whatever it is. They run a lot of condensed splits with guys tighter, which pushes corners off. So you don't really have like that true X unless you're on like the backside of a 3x1 or 4x1. So if you're on the strong side of the passing formation, there's not really like a Z or a slot or whatever you want, inside slot. That's some other teams. So, I don't know where I'm really going with that, Kyle, but I don't think much changed from with Garrett Wilson. I think it's a very high ceiling. There are some double catches in there. There are some route running deficiencies that I see where people say he's the best route runner in the class. And Kyle, I think you'd agree with me that in terms of a strict route running 1-for-1 comparison, that Drake London is a much better route runner than Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson has the ability to be a better route runner because of his ability to break. But in terms of the technical aspects of route running, that Drake London is the better route runner. So I think for Garrett Wilson in year one, he has to learn to stop overstriding, over lunging into breaks, and he has to learn how to get off of press coverage. A lot of times in press coverage where Garrett Wilson is either not threatening the corner to open up his hips whatever way he wants, or there's a lot of that paired with him opening up his chest, where he's a very open chested running routes, open chest, and a lot of guys grab that. So not much changed. Kind of went off in a couple different directions there, Kyle, but I don't know if you had anything else to add.
I was just thinking about how I don't have much to add because that's a very detailed answer. Although I am very curious. I'm very curious to hear what Mr. Coleman's going to say.
We are pretty lockstep on corners and receivers. So basically, we're both going to say that Wilson has a lot of potential, but a lot more room for growth than people think he does. And I think we're both going to be a little bit giddy over DJ Reed, to be completely honest. So
thanks for the super chat, Justin.
Appreciate it. Let's keep going on. 8-10. Let's see. Dolphins are scary, thin though.
What happened to the one you just put up a comment and didn't read it?
Did that happen? What chat? I don't remember what chat. Whatever.
It said in a world, and then I didn't read the rest. I was waiting for you to read it.
We're to keep on. So Dolphins are scary thin though. It's just Hill and Waddle who both get injured a lot. Was Waddle injured?
Whoa, hold on.
Hill's been pretty healthy, right?
Hill's been very healthy throughout his career. And Waddle, was Waddle injured in that shot? Because I don't remember that.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, Devontae Parker, he was injured a lot throughout his career, but he's with the Patriots now.
So Verge X, I think JFM would be the first to double-digit sacks. So Kyle, if you had to let's give your top three in order of who you think would get the most sacks for the Jets this year. Who would be your 1, 2, and your 3? If you had a bet.
Carl Lawson, but it's just a big question mark because of the injury. He's number 1. Quinnen would be number 2. And number 3, I'd probably have to go with JFM. Yeah.
Lockstep. We're in lockstep. So Stinkers of Boots says Revis Island and Darth Vader are perfect nicknames. I'm not sure what that means. 14-team fantasy league is a sweet spot, I guess. Was Swolsey in our fantasy league last year? I don't remember.
I don't remember if he was using that name. He could have been using it.
So we were at 18. I think what's happening this year, we're going to drop the bottom 6 and go to 12. And then we're going to add another 4. So we're going to go to 16 this year. And then the next year, we're going to be at 16, drop the bottom 4, and then go to 14. And then from 14, go to 12. So I think that's what's going to happen. And the bottom 2 to 4 every year is going to get dropped. And then we're having
here's my question for you. If you drop someone, will you allow them on registration day or whatever it is to join up again?
Whoever answers first. First come, first serve. So if you get dropped, you have the opportunity to come back if you're the first to answer. So, stay tuned for the pick'ems.
What if I mean, now it's not me because I beat you twice in that league last year. But if it was me, would you drop me?
No, me, you, Sabo, and Nanya stay. That's the rule.
Okay.
So
right.
if one of you, I, Nanya, or Sabo fall, like let's say they like Sabo is like 13th or 14th, then it goes to the 11th guy. Like the bottom 4 minus us, pretty much. So,
by the way, someone also mentioned it might have been the same person who mentioned the pick'em. And if I'm saying I'm 2 years in a row pick'em champion.
You're right, Calvin dominating. So West Coast Jets play 25.
By the way, do I get an award or something for it? Am I supposed to get another T-shirt or something?
I think you're supposed to. Get something. We have to go
So
back.
I gotta contact Mr. Sabo. Although is he busy with the game? By the way, what's the score at the game right now? The Rangers game.
I literally have no idea.
Let me
So
look.
West Coast Jets is play 25. Hall does a rocker step to his left leg way out there, but it wasn't totally a light leg. He absolutely planned on cutting inside, and I think he baited the guy to go for the leg. I'd have to pull up play 25 West Coast Jets, which I'm going to myself right now. But let's see, play 25.
Do you want me to, while you pull it up, do you want me to like read something or anything?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Well, what were you at? Like 8-10 or something?
I am at 826.
826. All right. So let me go around then. Dakota says Jets are still stacked on defense right now. Stacked? I don't know about that. I hope Quincy is starting beside Mosley. Quincy's fun, but you have to be concerned there. Okay, so I see what you're talking about with the.
Yeah. I'm not gonna pull the play up. Who brought the comment? Was it Verge? Whoever brought that comment about
we talk about the play 25 is West Coast Jets.
He West Coast Jets. He 1000% meant to have the light leg when he squared him up right there. So you're right. You are correct there. You're correct. Let's see. I pulled the play. Like, what are you talking about? But
by the way, so Verge Tip says the OG Top Gun was awful. Can't imagine the new one being good, but Cobra Kai is damn good. So yeah, I heard Cobra Kai is good. I think Joe agrees with that. And I heard that the new Top Gun is basically the old Top Gun, basically
Cobra
redone.
Kai is good, but like so I'm kind of like an asshole with movies or shows. If you're trying to be serious and then you're stupid, like that Friday Night Lights show, like the whole like Friday Night Lights thing, whatever that is. I watched like 2 or 3 episodes of Friday Night Lights. Garbage. Absolute garbage.
I watched the first episode. I was like, this is stupid.
Terrible. It's terrible because they try to be serious and they're so fucking corny. But like Cobra Kai, it tries to be like 70s, 80s, kind of like nerdy, like that type of movie. Like they're kind of like almost like fully diving into that mindset. Like, okay, we're nerdy, we're cheesy, we get that. You know, it's like it's cheesy, but it's good because they admit what like they're kind of upfront with what they're trying to be. Where freaking what's the movie we just brought up? Like that was trash.
You talk about Friday Night Lights.
Like Friday Night Lights trash. Like even Fast and Furious, like all that stuff. Like first couple movies are good.
How the hell did they make 10 of those films or whatever it is?
The first 1 or 2 are good, but then when you get to like Fast Furious 5 and you have like a fucking Subaru
Tokyo Drift.
You have a 10,000 pound safe that a Subaru is dragging and breaking through buildings and all this stuff, and you have the Rock on top of a tank going 80 miles per hour, jumping across a bridge, and then landing on another car going 80 miles per hour and landing on the windshield and then getting up and walking away. So basically, you just said that the Rock can handle a car going 160 miles per hour, landing on the windshield, and is walking up and we're good. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. You had cars jumping out.
He's the Rock. What are you talking about?
Cars coming out of planes with parachutes. I'm like, what? Like, this is just stupid. It's just so stupid. So if you try to be serious,
did you see how jacked he is? Come on.
If you try to be serious and you're corny, I hate you. If you know you're corny and you dive into the corniness, okay, I'm cool with you. But like anything after Fast and Furious 2, like you suck. It just is what it is, you know? So is what it is. But I see that comment right there. So let's keep moving on, Kyle. We have a couple minutes, or we have pretty much closing out now. So getting off the grave from Froze Kyle. Joe must have a urinary tract infection. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's they're flowing a little bit right now. So Dakota J, but I believe in Sauce, Reed, Hall, Carter's, Eccles as corners, Whitehead and back. Lock it down. I wouldn't necessarily be very faithful in Whitehead locking it down, but I would bet on him being a good box safety. So let's see. Daniel Daniel Stern. You also got to remember that.
By the way, hey, dude, great movie. I mean, he's a great actor. Huge fan, Daniel. Home Alone 1 and 2, one of my all-time favorites.
So Meet Patel asks if y'all could tag team fight any other Jets podcast 2v2, who do y'all think you could take
Dude, I think we could kick all their asses. I really do mean that. I mean, who's going to beat us? I mean, that sounds arrogant. Come on.
So the one thing I will say in our favor, Kyle is a lot bigger than you think he is on stream. Like it's not necessarily height, but Kyle is a girthy guy. And for whatever you think about me,
you're making me sound fat.
No, Kyle's more jacked than you think he is. He's definitely girthy. And then for me, I'm not the biggest guy. I'm like 180, 190, but I don't think the most certain being on the SWAT team and all that stuff necessarily hurts my cause. I don't think I'm a pansy. At least the minimum, I'm not a pansy. So I think Kyle and I would do. To be honest, Kyle, I think we do very, very well. To be honest, here it is what it is. I'm not trying to get in fights.
Yeah.
Hey, first
it's a funny little comment.
First Jets tailgate, we all got to fight. We all got a fist fight. No holding back apparently because of this comment. But no, I think Kyle and I would do pretty well because my line of work and Kyle's bigger guy than you think he is. So keep moving on. Even though he's still soft, he's bigger than you think he is, but he's still soft. Let's see. Keep moving on.
I challenge you to a wrestling match.
I'm cool with a wrestling match. I'll take you in a wrestling match. You're way too boxy for wrestling.
That's what you think,
Kyle. I got in your back. You're not gonna do anything. I'm telling you right now. There's no.
If you get me on my back, you would win the wrestling match. That's how a wrestling match works.
Get behind you though. Get behind you, because Kyle, like you're very boxy. Like I'm not sure if you can really completely wipe your ass cleanly. Like how dirty is your asshole? You're very boxy to their shoulders. So I don't know. I just feel like if I get behind you, you're not really doing much.
What you think, Joe? That's what you think. We'll see.
Let's see. At least Joe and Kyle don't say like. We say or like all the other Jets podcasters. I don't know what that means. Who says like a lot? Got you, dog. We at 667. Kyle, is that confirmed? Are we at 667?
Let me confirm.
Confirm it. Confirm it. So I just saw 6 to 7.
One moment, I gotta refresh. It still says 666 for me.
Nania and Justin got us beaten speed. So I think Kyle.
Well, I do think Ben has been doing mixed martial arts. I think.
I would take. Listen, I obviously they're both JetX guys, but I think in a situation where you're gonna die or you win, I think that both Kyle and I could take both Nania and Bustin on at the same time. not even.
Listen. Nania is pretty tall. He might be taller than me. Might be. I'm 6'1". He might be taller than me, or he's around my height. But Nania is a lot skinnier than me.
Oh, a lot skinnier. Yeah, Nania is really, really skinny for sure. What do you think Breece Hall's role in the secondary will be, Kyle? I read it backwards, I think, but
yeah, he's gonna be. I mean, listen, I think that Sauce Gardner is gonna play 90+% of the snaps, what? We had a couple of funny comments in here. So we got you two are full of shit, which I think it's in terms of the tag team of podcasting thing. We have Lloyd Gross said the Jets Broadcaster Bowl just gave me Anchorman fight team vibes. And he says you were not beating Tyson and Tyrone from Let's Talk Jets Radio, which I'm cool with Tyson. I wanted to interview with him. I know Tyson does some like MMA type stuff, and I'm not sure about Tyrone. I'm not sure. Tyrone. I know Kevin has done Let's Talk Jets with Tyson for a long time, but that's hilarious. I guess so. I know. I don't know Tyrone either. Wasn't Tyson doing his show with Long Beach Joe for a long time?
Well, he did it with Dennis originally. Then he went to Kevin or Joe, and then now he's with Kevin. But I don't really know a lot about Tyrone. But
I don't either. Listen, I know he does do mixed martial arts as well, but
we're not trying to. It's funny. Yeah. Like, listen, I'm friends with a lot of guys. I'm friends with Ryan. I'm friends with Tyson. I'm friends with even Buffalo Jets fan. I'm not trying to talk shit. We're having fun here, but we'd be up there. We'd be up there. So TKO Steve says like better late than never. We'll watch the show. Oh, okay. Just making fun of people who said like a lot. TKO Steve saying better late than never. We'll watch the show after work. So TKO Steve always killing with super chats again. Massive super chat to pretty much end the show here. Again, better late than never. Appreciate you as always, TKO Steve. Always dropping.
That's super generous. Thank you, Steve.
Massive super chats. So that's hilarious.
Steve always kind of jumps in and just gives one of those big super
Tyrone
chats.
is like 6'7" and Tyson does MMA.
All right, but someone else said that Tyrone is about 400 pounds. Dude, if he's 400 pounds, do you think he's gonna move well? Come on.
So the dude
will be gassed in the first minute of the fight.
And that's the thing I've always like thought about with bigger people. Like I think and listen, I don't even know Tyrone, so I'm not talking shit. I literally don't know who he is, so don't like.
This is just fun. I mean, listen.
My thing. Yes, exactly, Kyle. My thing with bigger people, I don't know if it's 400 pounds in muscle or 400 pounds in weight. Big people always extrapolate the fact that they're going to be really tough in fights. They're going to be really tough for the first 15 seconds of that fight. But fight is a lot about endurance. And if you're not going to grab me in the first 15 to 20 seconds, have fun. If you're going to be that, again, it's stupid, Kyle, but weight, fat does not mean strong or good in a fight. So again, I don't know who Tyrone is. I think this is a hilarious conversation, but Kyle, let's this, not number one, maybe not number two, number two, but we'll top three, lock it down easily. So I don't really even know how we got into this, but that is funny. So, but I hear like even like high school people like, you're 180, like you're not gonna be able to take me. It's like, bro, you are 280 pounds of fat. You don't have any muscle. You're a fat piece of shit. You couldn't even turn around. Let's not talk shit right now. So I don't know, who, what, when, where, why, but it is what it is. So Kyle, apparently we're gonna fight Tyrone and Tyson now. I gotta play Tyson in beer pong. We're going to fight Buffalo Jets fan and NY Jets today and Ryan and Green Bean and Matt and all these guys. We're going to have a full-out brawl week one, so that'll be fun. Past that, we are at the end of the show, Kyle, so I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Any last words?
That was hilarious at the end. So we brought up some Breece Hall clips today. Did we bring up anybody else? We didn't bring up Garrett Wilson. But we did bring up a couple of Breece Hall clips, and to get more of that, just subscribe to the site and you can get the full film breakdown. So I highly encourage everyone to do that. You get the first month free. So I wouldn't be plugging it all the time. Listen, I like to think I know a decent amount about the game, always learning, a hell of a lot more to learn. But I always benefit from watching Blewett's film reviews, and I'm very much looking forward to the ones with Marcus Coleman. You want to get the full thing, subscribe to the site. And thank you so much to everyone who chatted, and especially to the people that did the super chats, and especially to you, TKO Steve. And I got nothing else to say.
Cool. I'm gonna go mention or beer burp. I'm gonna go message Tyson and tell him we have to fight him and Tyrone, because that was the main challenger I saw. So Kyle, we're have to discuss
and
that.
Tell him that somebody else started this.
No, I'm gonna say, listen, bro. Top of my head, I think that me and Kyle can kick the shit out of you and Tyrone. So we're gonna have to do that with Tyson. So stay tuned for that week one, me fighting Tyson and playing beer pong with Tyson, and Kyle fighting Tyrone and doing whatever else. So
you got to make me take on the 400-pound guy. All right, well.
You're talking about stamina. You're the first guy to talk about stamina and how that matters. So
I just did Muhammad Ali to him, get him tired and then going for the kill.
Butterfly Kyle Smith. We appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Bye.